As I suspected, 32 flavors.
Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. How you all doing tonight? Nice to see you all here, and we got a nice crowd here early and right away. I love it. Hell yeah. How you all doing tonight? 122nd episode of the Comic Shop Talk. Glad to be here, of course. Tonight, we're finally going to talk about Fantastic Four versus the Sphinx, which was properly the core story, issues 206 through 214. And yet 204, 205, and The Man Called Nova, number 25. It's kind of like a prelude, whatever you want to call it, of sorts. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to do a little differently because it's such a massive story in almost every sense of the word. We're going to go over our individual thoughts of the story, and I'm going to just show off some photos throughout, whether it's like a funny moment, great character moment, exceptional art, because we had many great artists who were on this book, and it was insane to see. Like, you had the Sal Buscema's, the John Burns of the world. It's amazing how much crazy art is from all these guys, and we got to have at least one Stanley narration from Klobby as well. So yeah, we're going to do a little differently this time around with such a massive story, but it's going to be fun. And I've got so much to say, especially since I'm a Johnny Storm guy. Anyone who knows me knows that's one of my guys. Like Daredevil, like Spider-Man, Johnny Storm that's my guy. And this story spoke to me. Let's see some faces here. I see Dave C. How you doing, Dave C? I got your email about the video. I'm gonna watch it. I have it saved, and I'm gonna watch it. Just so you know, I did get it, and I will watch it, sir. So I want you to think like, no, I had forgot about Blue. I got it, and I'm gonna get to it, buddy. 5 Pico it says, can't say that I got some last minute tickets for Godzilla -1. Nice, dude. 5 Pico. Let me know how that is on Guild. I know you catch the replays. Let us know on Gilda how it is. What's up, Vulcan Lives? How you doing, man? Pete O'Shea's Helicopter, 2 words. D. Bud Martin, Stephen M. Kellel, and my guy Christian Delorme says, for being a member of 3 months, is showing off my membership. Dude, I love when you show off your membership. Thank you for doing that. Well, you know what? That's got to be Gary's fault that he's going to be jealous. That's not my problem. So Johnny Storm's my guy, and Backdoor Gary is just got to, remain the pie. We'll just leave at that. What's up, office girl? Kendon Bronner. Wow, we got a nice crowd in here right away. I love it. I love seeing a crowd in here. It's going to be fun to talk about this story because this story is fucking legendary. Straight up freaking legendary. And for so many reasons. I know I'm going to sound like a Fantastic Four shill, but you want to call me that? I don't even care. I'll roll with it even. But let's bring in our dudes. Pablo will be here, and Pablo's here. We all know how that goes with Pablo. But let's bring in the clobberer himself. How's it going, Clobby?
Hey, buddy. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, dude. I'm just glad I could be hanging with you, talking comics.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, I'm thinking we finally had that idea last week about doing that Booster Gold show. I'm thinking January. We should make it happen for January. That'll be we'll finally make it happen for January. Booster Gold show. Maybe it could be like a best stories involving Booster Gold, maybe top 5 or something from across all mediums. Just an idea. You think about what you think, tell me how you feel, and we'll just go with that.
Absolutely. Hail chat. What's up, my friends? Good to see you all.
All right. Yes, chat is, of course, the chat loves that we got the clobberer here. Of course. Oh, by the way, before we bring in our dudes, I hear you got some show with a drunk 3PO coming up.
How'd you hear about that? I didn't tell anyone, did I? I didn't know. I thought it was a secret. But it is next Wednesday night. The great drunk 3PO. I'm honored. I don't know. I'm not worthy, but still, he wants to talk some comics. Apparently, he doesn't get to talk comics that much. And he's a comics fan, which I did not know until he told me not too long ago. And I am looking forward to it. That'll be 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 Eastern. This next Wednesday night, the 6th of December, I believe. And just going to be the 2 of us hanging out, talking some comics. And we've never talked before, so it'll be interesting to get to know each other.
No, that I didn't know. I've hung out with him before in Vegas. Really nice guy. He's like a big pro wrestler in terms of a big man. I didn't know he was a big comics fan either. If I had known, I mean, obviously I know it's his children's books. I know he's got a follow up, but yeah, if I had known that, I would be like, hey, come on and talk comics because well, this is
Yeah.
kind of what we do here. But I'm going to listen to that as a lurker because I'm looking forward to see you guys pick each other's grades apart. That should be fun.
Yeah, apparently he doesn't get a chance to talk that often of comics, and he says he listens all the time, which I'm just flattered. I can't believe it, but it's very nice.
Nice. I love that, dude.
Yeah, very nice, and just a very nice man, very cool individual. Has a great channel, and of course does a lot for a whole lot of people. So looking forward to it. He's a spiffing bloke.
Yeah. All right. And we got Christian DeLorme for Canadian $2. Says you 69 Slayer. Thank you, Christian. And he goes with another one for another Canadian. Says Tell Columbia scored a May 63 Sergeant Rock comic.
Yes, love it. Well, gotta love the Sarge. Great stuff, man. Joe Kubert era, probably in that one, and gotta love it, buddy.
I love that he's hopping on the comic wagon. I know he got our boy Hojo's
Nice.
the Mythicals. He's getting Sergeant Rock now. Christian,
Excellent.
keep on buying, dude. We're at to get you on. Before you know it, we're at to get you on the show so you can talk comics with us soon.
Excellent.
And welcome, John Rupus the Shaggy. What's up, guys? I don't think I've seen you around here. If you have been around before, I apologize. But welcome to the show and channel, sir.
He shows up on my show all the time.
Does he? Okay, cool.
A cool fellow.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, zoinks, man. I'm glad that he's here. And what's up, Corbin Dallas? All right. Let's bring in our other two dudes. What's up, Caster? Nice One Piece shirt.
Oh, thank you. Like, the thing is, like, it doesn't even like fully like show, but you know, hey, anything to have Nami around more.
I just got my son a new One Piece shirt just today, as a matter of fact.
Nice.
And he's got a million of them, but I managed to snag one on the sale at the T Public that he didn't have, which is not easy.
Oh, what's one more?
Yeah, he's got.
Well, you gotta have one for the whole crew.
He's got. I mean, they make a lot of them, but yeah, he's got a bunch.
No, guys, I'm doing fantastic. This has been like the most relaxed week I've had. I've had this whole week off, so I got to sleep in, leisurely read some comics. I want to get not a whole lot done, but here we are, Friday. I've got my comics read. I did my homework. I'm ready to talk.
I love to hear. I love that.
There was one thing I had to think about as I was getting ready for today, and I had to stop reading so I could go do this. And I just need to steal the show for 1 second here. Nick, I need you to press the. Now, this is, as we all know, Sphinx. This is our big villain. And it dawned on me, wait a minute, I can make this better.
Oh
God. Oh dear. You just wait. I'll come back to haunt you.
Oh, too funny. Well done, Caster.
I can't wait to see Andy Masterson make that figure.
Oh yes, I love it. And speaking of Andy Masterson, who we are lucky and fortunate to have for 2 weeks back to back, welcome, sir. How are you doing on this Friday evening?
Good evening, everyone. I'm doing pretty well.
Hey.
Nice.
Excited to talk about this. This is one of my favorite Fantastic Four arcs. It had so much in there. It had the great cosmic stories, so many co-stars and guest appearances in this thing. They were just flying out of the woodwork. You look at that and like all these characters were matched together, and like, wow, it was a ride.
I can see why you say that, because after you toss out the idea in the chats a few weeks back and going through it throughout this week, I did like 3 to 4 issues a day, just letting it sink in for a day or two and then diving back in. Like, you dude, like, I remember thinking, wow, this is a tall order. We've never done something of this magnitude. But then as I kept reading, I ended up forgetting some issues because I was just having so much fun with it. It almost like it didn't even matter. And that's the beauty of what comics should be doing. It's like, to us, it shouldn't matter the amount of issues, because when you're getting lost in the story, Like, hold up. There's this many issues. So it's crazy. Oh, Kendon. Yes, Kendon. Yes, I'll show off right now. Welcome to the show, Ironhide 84 with a Cobra avatar. I'm not saying that Cobra. You are the disease. I am the cure. Let me get that highlight for you right now, Kendon. So our friend on the Gilded is Mr. Kendon Bronner, a really nice guy. He's had a bit of a little incident in his living lately. Let me looking for it right now. I'm looking, Kendon. Right here, Give Singa. Okay, I got it, man. I got it. All right. Forgive me here. I forgot to have it upload, but I'm glad you reminded me. So alrighty, so Kendon, he created this gifts and goal for his friends saying help support Neil fight liver failure. I'm gonna post this in the comments in the chat. Okay, so if you guys, if you got $1, something, just whatever, or even just spread the word. If you don't have anything, just at least have something right there. He just got this going very recently, so by all means, save the link if you can and spread the word. Let's help a guy within our scene out. All right. And yeah, Kendon, I'm sorry I didn't get to on Toxic Tuesday. Remind me, I'll do it again on Toxic Tuesday as well. Maybe I can even try to see if I can run it through Tom on Meta as well. All right, buddy. There you go. There's the link. Don't forget to highlight chat. The Sphinx, dude. No. Okay, fine. I was gonna say he does. I was gonna disagree, but then when I saw who you're comparing him to, I always forgive him. It was one of those things where he brought up the Condor, the legendary Condor, and I was like, oh, okay, all is forgiven. All is forgiven. So okay, so issues 204 and 205 of the Fantastic Four and The Man Called Nova number 25, which is the final issue of that series, were the setup, prelude, whatever you want to call it, with issues 206 through 214 being the main story where it gets into the thick of it all.
Yes.
And this was go ahead, Clubby.
Oh, Nick, I was just going to say before you start, if you don't mind, you should reference anyone who wants to know anything about how a lot of these characters originated. Could go back to videos that we all made over a year ago on your channel right here on Friday nights. I remember exactly how long ago it was now, where we all, with our D-Bud and all of other friends, reviewed the first 13 issues, I believe it was, of The Man Called Nova by Marv Wolfman, which is where all these characters originate. Just to give a little context to this saga.
Yeah,
we know the details. Yeah, I mean
we talked The Man called Nova last year. We did issues 1 through 12.
1 to 12, yeah.
When we did issues 1 through 12, we had a lot of these characters who are in this story. Diamond Head, the Sphinx, obviously Richard Rider Nova, and even Spider-Man, who's part of issue 11 or 12.
Right. Powerhouse.
Part of this Powerhouse. The Reaper dude. Why am I forgetting the guy who stands before the Sphinx? The guy that's Sphinx got his prophecy foretold.
Right.
Grier was his name? Grier?
Schreier?
Oh, Shroud? Yeah. No, not Shroud, because there's a Daredevil villain that Daredevil's fought called the Shroud. There is a Daredevil villain.
Well, it's a Marvel hero called the Shroud too.
Yeah,
no, this is I forget the guy's name exactly, but he was but anyway, this is what starts the Sphinx saga.
Yeah,
really.
This is the story that sets up the Sphinx.
And we do cover the beginning of it. So yeah.
We did. So by all means, we covered it way back, and throughout that first 12 issues from Marv Wolfman, who also wrote this, you got a lot of those characters, and because it's the last issue of Nova, it all gets to weave together nicely because it's set up. Ultimately, there was a lot of dominoes that were being set up, and there's even some payoff as far back as issue 2.
Well, since we're dealing with Xandar, since we are dealing with Xandar, it does.
Yes, with Xandar, yes. So yeah, a lot of payoff, and there's even callbacks. One callback, and I highlight it for when I was getting the photos together. One callback all the way dating back to Lee and Ditko's ASM. Dude, talk about writers who actually did their homework and made everything count and said nothing is left off the table. I respect the hell out of that. But before I go into respecting the hell out of that, and I know he's obviously managing the Rippa stream right now, but he got to get the membership, and I got to thank LDG Free the Net. It's been a long time since I see you, man. How you doing? He became a huge member, and he also gifted people with
Huge!
10 huge memberships. LDG, thank you. You gifted Matt W., the Sasha sisters, obviously Andrew, Josh Post, Claire, Yolanda Gaines. Wow. Leaf Erickson, Billy Go Boom, Andy as well. Hell yeah. Thank you, LDG. Hopefully you're well, man. That is, geez, dude. Yeah, no. As Rip would say, that ain't cheap. And no, I'm going to take up another one what Rip would say. That's cocky. I respect it. There's another line right there. It is cocky, and I do respect it. But yeah, no, anyways, back to the story. Yeah. Lots of payoff and a lot of callbacks, lots of references. I love that. And once again, this should make you everything you can understand. Even though I had not read prior Wolfman Fantastic Four issues, I didn't feel lost one bit. And each issue can be treated as someone's first comic, and you can be brought to speed quick. And all these characters, there's a lot of characters, and I gotta give Wolfman credit on this because he knows how to juggle a lot of characters, and it doesn't feel jumbled. It doesn't feel like a mess. And this story does go through, quite a few realms, but it doesn't feel messy or all over the place either. Because obviously there's a little bit of separation before I come back together, before go off into another distance and back around. It all feels organized. It doesn't feel like messy, and it all feels very organized and feels like the story needed to be this many issues. This isn't something that you could rush. So obviously, with the various amount of artists he had, each issue was 17 pages of story each issue. Oh man, I can't imagine. This feels like an event comic, and I know Andy, we had said this a little briefly before our show started. This feels like an event book, even though it was just another story. And for you and Claudia, I mean, you guys were coming up during this time. What was it like to have this massive story be just another story in a way? Because it's really not. It's significant.
Well, especially back then, you had the Fantastic Four cartoon. Of course, you had Herbie the Robot, who makes his introduction in this arc.
Yes,
because they were afraid of kids setting themselves on fire back then. God, don't let your kids read current Marvel now if you're afraid that they might do what they did see in the comic. But yeah, this is amazing. This was I'd been reading comics for about 3 years at this point, and the crossover with so many of these characters in there, and you just saw that interconnected world, but it still felt like a neighborhood. It was really cool. And when you get into like the outer space part, you get the scrolls, and you get to see the scrolls like the way they're meant to be. They're menacing. They weren't like little refugees looking for a home. They're fierce. They're warriors. It's basically survival of the fittest. They're brutal. They come in there and they're backstabbing, and they're a lot like very Klingonish in the way they were depicted. They were a great villain, and then you had Xandar come in there, and you had there's the Watcher. The Watcher was monkeying around there and accidentally put like the little force fields around the surviving chunks of the planet. That was Nebula that blew it up. You remember her from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Before or after?
What was that?
Was that before or after with Nebula?
Oh, that was before. Like Nebula,
Right before, okay.
Before this story arc, Nebula was the one that blew up the planet, and the Watcher came along, and he kind of these are really good guys. We don't want to. He accidentally sort of interfered and put like little spheres around them so they would survive.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a great story arc, and then when you, the resolution to this thing was like, man, what an epic punishment for this particular character, because he starts off wanting nothing but death. He wants to end his horrible existence, and he was a dick every time you ever saw him in the comic books, even in Nova. And then like you see him like, oh yeah, by the way, here's Galactus giving you the big old fist right there, right where it hurts. Epic. And the artwork, oh my god, the artwork is so good in this. Like
It's a murderer's row of talent, straight up.
Yeah, you see Pollard in there, and like that scene you guys were showing earlier with the
I'm gonna
space
show off
battle.
one right now. I'm
That
gonna show off
was-
one right now.
I felt that was Pollard really doing his best to emulate Kirby.
It's Joe Sinnott really making the difference. He's the connector. He was Kirby's greatest inker, in my opinion. And through after that, he inked Buscema on the book, then Buckler
John
on the
Byrne.
book, then Perez, then Pollard, then then later Byrne, and then even Sienkiewicz later. He inked the book. He's inked the book more than anybody else, and it's not even close.
Yeah,
I love.
It's nice. It's nice because this is one of those like 2-page spreads. You flip to this, you have to stop reading just to soak
Admire
this
it.
all in. This is so much larger than
It's
life.
art
There's
porn. It's art
it
porn.
is. This is absolutely like comic war porn. Look, it's like all the lines going everywhere. This is complete chaos. You have this wide variety of shapes to it. You have very straight lines, the round bubbles for the planets, for even just around Xandar itself. Even down in the corner there, in this little bubble down there is our heroes, all kind of trapped down there, just looking up in sheer awe at everything happening above them. And also, if you notice, like we have Novas like riding bikes. Driving around.
Dude, I love it. It's so cool. It's so sci-fi and weird. It's so Marvel Cosmic. It's once again, Marvel Cosmic is so special. It really is. Every time I read like old school Marvel Cosmic, they're all awesome. They're all freaking awesome. It's just like every story is as wild as it gets. It's just everything is bananas, and I'm here for as crazy and wild as it, and that's how it should be. It should be out there. It should say, imagine if this happened. What if this happened? Not to get into what if puns, but it's just these are trying to utilize your imagination and think beyond that. And I feel like this does that.
One of the things I think that's really fascinating looking at this when we kind of step back from just the comic itself is realizing that so much of this is coming out of a comic being that's ending, of Nova being that's they're shuttering that's going to be winding down, and so many of the elements of this story are coming out of that book. They didn't like let this like rot in the back of a filing cabinet somewhere as some little factoid of like, we have these little alien planets over here we could totally use at some point. It's like, no, they used all of this. This is all built up, and all of this is being used to use our very favorite like larger than life villain of Sphinx.
Yeah, when you see that, like, here's a guy that goes up against Galactus, and it's an epic battle. Like,
it was the fucking Super Bowl. I'll straight up say that. That shit was the damn Super Bowl. Sorry to add in, and it just when that happened, I'm like, I could feel my freaking heart intensifying. And I was just like, oh, Jesus. Oh. Seriously, it was like, how much more wilder can this get? And it does. It keeps getting wilder. I want to mention another small thing, and I love it because we're going to touch on the Galactus versus the Sphinx later because that's such a massive thing, literally. But of a small moment here where Human Torch needs to talk to Spider-Man, get in touch with him, and he can't just conveniently do that because the writer wants him to. It has to be set up so he can. And they acknowledge in that little blue in the bottom right, featured in Spidey 190, still on sale, of course, because he's going up against the Man-Wolf. Dude, respect to that. Once again, make it say, hey, he can't just be here because you want to. It's, hey, he's kind of being done in this book. When there's a down moment, we'll add him in for that. Because obviously he has his part later in the story. But I really love that little bit. And now I'm curious. I mean, now I'm assuming that in later Fantastic Four books, we get to find out who the monocle turned on. Because I was like, who is this guy? I was wondering, should I keep reading to find out, Clobby and Andy? Because this had me intrigued.
Do you want to? I believe that turned out to be.
Well, initially he was a Captain America villain, if I remember correctly. I mean, he was. I mean, first appeared in an FF comic, but then no, I'm sorry, he was an FF villain, but he always. First time I saw him was later because that was in such an early comic I didn't see it. So first time I saw him, he was in a Captain America issue, but the monocle was a character that had bothered them before. It's just that that was like toward the end of Kirby's run, and I can't remember exactly, but like late '60s.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm forgive me for saying Captain America, and I meant FF. But
no, I feel like you meant Fantastic Four. I felt
but I say that because I saw it in reverse. I saw him in a Cap comic first, and then went back later and read the reprint of the Kirby run when Monocle first appeared. Oh, well, there's D-Bud right there. Okay,
D-Bud
FF 95. Okay, so it was from 69, back around the late 60s, 60, right before Kirby left Marvel, actually. So there you go. So anyway, so he was I wouldn't call him the biggest bad or anything.
No, he's not. But it made me curious who he was working for because he turned his back on him. He's like, I'm my own man. I don't need you guys. And also he just blasts his screen, his high tech at the time screen. I'm like, oh, this guy, he don't want to answer to no one. So it kind of like obviously there was a thread there because you don't see the face of the guy he was supposed to answer to originally. And I'm like, I wonder if I should keep reading because I'd like to know who he turned his back on. To me, that had me intrigued. That's all.
Yeah.
To me, there was a nice little sprinkle there, or you can maybe even say you're planting a seed there and trying to let it blossom through time. So I was wondering what that could. And another piece of exceptional art: the living computers of Xandar, dude. And this shot was just too gigantic that I had to set up in two. But dude, what a shot of this whole area! It reminds me of that tunnel that Luke Skywalker, you could see that tunnel from The Empire Strikes Back where he's about to fall down, and it's just like endless. Except this is obviously a bit more of an advanced version of way more advanced because there's a lot of intelligence for this time. But dude, once again, absolute eye candy for the eyes. Claudia, what was it like for you, like in the being into this, the Fantastic Four at the time, Marv Wolfman? What were your, like, I guess, just go into your complete thoughts on this, dude, and I'll show some images along the way. If you want me to stop, just tell me.
Well, no, I was I really liked Wolfman's run at the time. I really do because it was he had taken over. I think his buddy Lynn Wein had been on it for a while before that, and I liked him on. Well, we all reviewed his Nova, right? We reviewed his first 13 issues. Yeah. So I liked this Nova run in spite of the way the art kind of got later on that one. But I was, I loved his Tomb of Dracula. I was always a fan of his work at the time, and so I was like what he was doing because you could tell if you had been reading Nova that he was kind of transferring some of that story that he was not going to be able to finish in Nova to the FF, to this storyline that started there. And so I really loved it. And of course, Keith Pollard was one of my, with Joe, I got to say with Joe Sin on inking him, of course, that's always the caveat with FF, because he made whoever he was inking, they had some distinct style of their own, but he always added a Kirby feel to it. It just made it, it was such a familiar run as an inker with all these different artists. And Pollard was terrific on this and Spider-Man for a time. And this is just, as a kid reading these, well, like I said, it was a never miss. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to always get your comics on the 7-Eleven spinner rack because it's not like you had a folder. But I never missed FF, and this was, man. At this point, I've been many years. I've been collecting it, and not missing an issue, and I really love this storyline.
I can see why, man. For real, like it has been. Like I was just like, it's just so weird because, like, when you look at like big, like essential Marvel stories, stuff like that, it feels like this should be in that list because of how wild it is and how much setup and payoff there is and how essential it is to a lot of characters. I'm surprised it's not mentioned. I like it kind of like weirds me out. Even with like sure, if you look up like essential F4 stories, you'll find it. But like I feel like it should be not just an F4, but essential Marvel even.
It should be a compilation.
I mean,
Oh.
the larger ramifications
But-
of this story deserve it being brought up, because this is where we get, Galactus or Reed Richards rescinding the agreement with
Well,
Galactus to allow him to
right.
return to Earth.
Also, Wolfman, his writing was he liked using his own characters. We remember how we were kind of tickled when we were reviewing the Nova series, when we were talking about how he likes creating. He's trying to create his own characters rather than using any of the established characters, and none of them really obviously stuck like the original Spidey villains or something. But he was trying, and then he not only took those over from Nova to put them in here, a lot of them. He even took Dr. Sun, a villain he created for Tomb of Dracula, is in this story, which is crazy. It's like, he's just a brain inside of a robot thingy. So yeah, Wolfen. I think this is it should be compiled all into one.
It should. This should be a collected edition story. This should be one of those stories that gets reprinted with the Infinity Gauntlets of the world. This should be something like, Marvel talked about the I don't want to get too dwelled on the MCU, but they're talking about how they want to solve the Kang problem. Here's how you solve your Kang problem. Make it about the Sphinx. Do this story. Problem solved. That's it. You can end your problems just like that. No Thanos snap pun intended, but you could end your problems just like that. And also, welcome to the show by Before I Let Claudia continue, Mr. Pablo.
Hey,
howdy ho!
Hey,
What's up, brothers?
Pablo, nice to see you, man.
It has been an interesting day. I'm late because one of my oldest friends came by to leave his car on my garage because he's separated. So this is the third or fourth friend this year that gets in the same shit. At this point, I'm starting to believe that there's something in the water in Ecuador.
You're gonna have to start charging rent for the garage.
It will be an interesting incompat, especially for Magic the Gathering cards, because goddamn, that hobby is stupid pricey. I was just thinking about the few things that I need. It's $60, man. $60 is enough to have a good week. You should not be spending that much on cardboard. But I may, because I'm an idiot that likes winning. So my last few matches have demonstrated that you can be a complete asshole with my strategies and actually be a threat. I have a card that says, I cannot lose, you cannot win in a multiplayer match. Yeah, so I was basically immortal until that card is removed. I had 5 times the amount of damage that you need to be dead. I was still alive and kicking. I was actually kicking people. I had poison counters. That means that I was in any way 10 times dead. I was still fighting. In the end, it was my mistake, and I was taken off from the match and didn't win because I messed it up. So that led me to believe that maybe I was right about my strategy. I'm just an asshole, and being an asshole sometimes wins.
You do win all the Pablo. Who the hell are you kidding, man? You fucking win, dude. You're by winning, if anything. I think I hear Charlie Sheen. I think he's kind of envious of you. I'm not bullshitting, man. I'm just saying Charlie Sheen is like, oh, that Pablo guy, he's winning. Duh, winning. What's up, Abagor? All right. So before Claudia picks it back up, here's that moment I highlighted really specifically. If you look at the bottom corner, it says Johnny Les met Peter in Spider-Man number 21.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that we did a showcasing on. Lee and Ditko run. Once again, they Marv Wolfman went really far back, and he didn't have to, but he did. The fact that he couldn't even reference it, but he did, to make you really like, hey, you've been here this long, back in 63, 64, and it's 78, 79. Hey, don't worry. We remember you too. Dude, Marv Wolfman was a master of the arts. Straight up master. Between this and Teen Titans, I can see why he's so prolific.
Okay,
Yeah.
Peter Parker and Johnny, they know each other for a long time, right? From
Oh,
issue
yeah.
21. But
Love their
Spider-Man
dynamic.
knows the Human Torch from issue 1.
Yep.
Mhm. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's
So
one
they
other.
have more baggage. They have a
Yeah.
lot of story there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right, Clawby.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead
say.
and go on about
Oh no.
your
No, I'm
great
good.
thoughts on this. That's it? You sure you
No, I
got
was just
nothing
gonna
else you
say
want to add?
one note that wasn't. I guess it's you don't have to read this story in line with all the stuff we set up to read, but in FF Annual number 12, and it is slightly referenced in Nova number 25, is that
Mhm.
the Sphinx is in that on the moon with the FF and the Inhumans, and Black Bolt kicks his ass. So,
Oh, and not did
Yep.
Black Bolt kick his ass, but we also had a page a few issues later on where you see Medusa is kind of like in stasis type of thing. So there's clearly a big Inhuman side to us, which shows you once again the Inhumans are awesome. They were just poorly mismanaged in the last 10 years, and that shit doesn't
mhm.
exist.
I
Of
love
course.
that the Sphinx, when he references that event, is like Black Bolt
Oh, he
defeated
was
me with his awesome
pissed.
powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pissed, man. What's up, Gascar? How you doing, man? Nice to see you here. Thanks for
Hey.
dropping in. I want to highlight this great moment because this moment here kind of encapsulates Spidey and the Torch. I want to do all these pages just so I can get some really good on that. The fact that this is a great Spidey, get back. I'll set up a heat wall between them and us, and they won't be able to bridge it. Well, you know, you actually came up with a good idea. That's one in a row. Torch, you could take the success. I was like, that is best friends right there. Where can they just take jabs and swings at each other like that? I laughed. That's another thing I feel like this doesn't it's hard to be funny in comics, but Marv Wolfman had a lot of funny
Mhm.
moments in this arc. It wasn't moments where it like derailed the story, but it was just, oh, that's fucking funny. And it was just quick moments like that. It doesn't like, you know, derail the tonality of the story, the seriousness or the weight of it all. But it's like, oh, that's fucking good. He knows how to tell great delivery with
I,
Spidey and the Torch and being funny. And those are like the right characters to be funny with. It isn't like where every character becomes a Joss Whedon
Mhm.
character. Spider-Man and the Torch are perfect for that. And he really, and at
Mhm.
times even Bang Grimm at times too. Perfect. Perfect.
I know this one was in jest, but if you think about it, a lot of people take Johnny Storm as just a dumbass with powers, and he's way more intelligent than people actually believes.
Yeah,
It's
and
just
that's
that,
kind of what this arc is about,
yeah,
in a sense. In a sense,
he
that's kind of what this
doesn't
is
really
about.
need to
Yeah.
shine his intelligence. He doesn't really need that because he has Mr. Fantastic, he has Sue Storm, and all that is left is just be quipping with Clovey and with the Clovey on the pages, not with the Clovey on the panel. is, is that he is just taking it easy on that front, but when he's alone, he's actually really smart, and when he needs to strategize, he's really quick on his feet and he can really come with excellent plans. The issue is that he doesn't really need it most of the time.
That's
One of the things I really enjoyed with this comic was getting a chance to see that side of Johnny, where he's getting
Mhm.
fairly retrospective and kind of trying to assess himself with his place in the team. I mean, he says it himself. They're like, you know, Sue and Reed are, smart and fully capable. They've got their family thing going on.
What's
Ben
my
is
place?
was Yeah, exactly. He's having
Ben
this.
has Alicia.
He's having this little kind of he's having a little momentary crisis where he's trying to assess himself. So he's like decides he's gonna go back to college.
Yeah, even at one point later, he says to Sue, "Without my powers, I'm a high school dropout."
Yeah. It's such a great Johnny Storm story because it shows you, because it's funny because you'll see, I guess you could say modernists say, oh, Sue Storm was looked at as a down one. So it's like, no, you got it wrong. It was Johnny Storm. He was even written in the story as that because you see how capable Sue Storm is.
Mhm.
She may not be physical, but what she does to help the team makes big differences. It's kind of like, when you have a car that has a problem, the smallest thing can lead to the biggest, most significant problems. The smallest thing she does help the most significantly with her powers
Well,
in that regard.
Sue has a
Ooh,
genius
it's
level
great.
intellect. People don't normally remember that, but she's a genius.
Oh yeah. Oh dude. And she's perfect because like she's also she almost makes it feel the most family of them all. Like obviously you get the brother relationship between Johnny and Ben, and then you got Reed and Ben being the best friends who fight, and then you got obviously Reed and Sue who are married. They have their son here. But Sue really feels like she really feels like she's the one who keeps the unit as a family together the most. That's what I get out of Sue Richards. How's it
She
going, Muhammad said? Thanks for dropping in, dude. Shout out.
she is a good translator between Reed Richards, that is basically, he's like a machine. He doesn't have that connection with his feelings and with acting human most of the time. He's just absolute logic, and we need to do this because it's the right path, because it brings the best results. She's the one that actually talks the things in a way that feel more human, more neutral. So she has that people ability, if you want, that lets her communicate better. She is a good way to have whatever Reed says translated into human, basically.
Agreed. And here's another great Spy Torch moment here I need to highlight. And while I do, welcome to the show, Brad Young. He said, she keeps the unit.
Exactly.
Well, that's kind of actually true, literally and figuratively. But this is once again, another great Spidey Torch joke here, where once again, the shot here, where Torch says, really? Now, where could a guy could pick up a 6-pack of those senses, referring to his Spire senses? And Spy's like, yeah, I'm marking him for next Christmas, 3 for $1, but they'll be cheaper by the dozen. I was like, oh, that is good. Marv Wolfman hits it home with these jokes. What's up, Phantom Outsider? He came in at a good point. He hits it with these jokes with the Torch and Spy. It makes me wish there was like a mini series Spidey and the Torch, and Wolfman wrote it. I would have been like, dude, straight up, man. And here's that moment right here. Medusa being held captive by the shadowy figures I was saying earlier. Who are they? Because I want to know who now. I'm like, okay, I feel like I have to read further just so I know who those guys are who are holding Medusa here. Because it makes me want to know. I want to know.
Weren't they G-Man?
I don't know. I haven't read further, so I don't know. I want to know.
Who knows?
I'm gonna have to be Christian, be like, I want to know. I think Andy and Klobby might know. Maybe they think that. I think we were speaking briefly on it earlier, right before you arrived, Pablo. Whoever it is, all I know is you got my damn intrigue. So, Caster, why don't you go into your thoughts overall on this story? Because I know you go into tips and bits, but go all in, baby.
I suppose that if I had to give one complaint, it's that this little bit here of Johnny Storm going to college and the monocle is but the one real distraction that kind of comes from the overall story itself. That while it is clearly there to set up other stories down the road, the problem is that and this is for my own problem, that it sort of felt like a distraction from the other stuff going on to really just justify Johnny not being around to get involved with all the scroll battles. And that would really be the only complaint I have, is that I feel like that didn't flow into all the other stories that were going on, like we got to see with, even the Nova story was working into all the Sphinx stuff. That's just this one little piece that felt out of place. Now, don't get me wrong, I want to see where this goes. I want to know what's going on and clearly what's being set up, but I feel like that was about the only thing that was sort of out of place for, say, this little contained events of, well, Johnny's going to college and trying to discover himself while Reed and Sue and Ben are off in space, like getting in space battles, fighting in space Normandy.
Mm-hmm. Now, okay, I see your point on that. I do have a criticism. It's not this. I'll get into it later because I don't want to cross that bridge yet. See, here's where I see your point, but I kind of disagree. The reason why, because it made sense for once again, Johnny was trying to figure out his purpose. He was trying to figure, okay, you know what, I'm gonna do this because this is what kids my age do. He wanted to find something that could make him think, hey, this is what I'm doing in my life, because even he realized, oh, hey, you know, showing off, getting the girls, even that can have his moments of being like, oh, that has no longevity to it also. So he was trying to actually pursue something serious for his life so he could feel like he was an adult. He wanted to have a moment of maturity in his life. And he was trying to pursue that. And obviously it backfired on him. But even though it backfired on him, he still had a second shot. He had one shot, it didn't work. But the second shot around, he succeeded. So that's why I feel like this sub arc was very important, because it showed you, like, you know, his place is with the team. He just he doesn't notice it yet. He just doesn't notice it yet, because just sometimes for you to understand your place in something, you kind of got to venture off somewhere and then realize, okay, you know what, maybe this isn't for me, and then come back and then go back to your roots and be like, okay, you know what, this is my home. This is my purpose. This is what I do. That's what I got of it for me.
Yeah, but it also feels like it could have, because it felt like it went on for like what, 2 issues. We got 2 issues that could have been
About
condensed
2 issues,
down to
yeah.
like, that could have been condensed down to 1 issue of that.
Technically,
of Johnny.
only 1 whole issue was dedicated, if you want to get technical with that. But there was 1 issue showed bits and panels, but 1 whole issue of it committed to it. 1 whole issue. Just to get technical with it. But go on.
No, but like I said, that was about my only complaint I have for the overall sort of story here. That said, I freaking love this. I like getting to see like all this stuff coming together. Like we're not just abandoning these elements. Like I want to see what's going on. Like, who has Medusa? I want to see, you know, who was it that that monocle turned on and like defied the orders of.
I want to know, right?
You'll find out. You'll find out.
I feel like it doesn't even feel like I'm like, oh, I have to read more. Now I'm just like, I want to fucking read more so I can find out. Like, I'm excited about finding out. That's the beauty of this. Yeah, anything else you want to add for now, Cass, or will that be it for now?
No, I think that's about it for now.
All right.
It was great to see Spider-Man.
Super chat from Brad Young for $10. Thank you, Brad. And he had a originally says, it was supposed to say, I like your streams, have mine. Well, thank you for $10, Brad. I do appreciate that. And thanks for supporting the channel and contributing to the show with Super Chat. Enjoy the show. And if you drink, enjoy some fine beverages. If you're straight edge, hang out with us anyways. You got a place here too. So, you know, while we're here, we got 20 people in the chat. We might as well. I saw Andy had a glass here earlier. So let's do it. For everyone in the chat, all 20 of you, and for LDG gifting the memberships, and for Christian Brad with the super chats, and to all of you who are new members, this one's to you guys. And to Great Comics. Cheers. And Andy, thanks for joining us.
And to Brad Young, by the way, in the chat for a $10 super chat.
Yeah, I know. Huge super chat.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Muhammad, we're gonna touch on this later because I can't wait to talk about. We will touch on it. It'll probably be we're gonna touch on that. Oh, we're gonna get there. Believe that. And what's up, Release McCracken? Nice to see you here, sir. Thanks for commenting in. So another great image right here of the Sphinx. This is where he gets literally huge. Like, this is where he basically gets Galactus size. And I love the Sphinx's arc because he was a guy who originally was. I love this because it's a great villain arc because he originally didn't want to be immortal, but he realizes once you have the power, his mentality changes. And I love that. I was like, hot damn, that is. actually really good. It's like one of those situations where he wanted the power just so he can, feel more human. But once he actually had the power, he's just like, oh, fuck this. No, I'm not surrendering this shit. I'm gonna be the baddest man on the block. And that's a villain, man. I thought that was actually a really cool idea for him to roll. Then yeah, and he kind of whoops the shell of Fantastic Four. It doesn't help that they got de-aged. Well, 3/4 of them did by the scrolls with the metabolic blaster. So they're obviously not at their best, minus Johnny Storm, of course. But that really adds to the story. It really does. I was like, geez, the Sphinx is huger than ever. 3/4 of the Fantastic Four age. Johnny Storm is nowhere to be seen. This is a holy crap. What more else could go wrong? So I feel like it's a great Human Torch story. It's a great Sphinx story. It's a great Marvel epic. You have great jokes in here. You have heartfelt moments in here. You have drama, comedy, romance. You have stakes. It's such it's a roller coaster. It's kind of like a extended version of the Raging Bull from Six Flags. Like it takes you on an extensive journey, but man, when you land at the end, you're ready to get off. You're just like, woo, like Ric Flair, and you're just ready to like, okay, when's the next ride? We gotta talk about this, guys. Did you just see that ride I was just on? That's what that brings me. This story was just once it feels like this story should have been Caster. I was on a roll here. I was on a roll here. And you ruined it.
I did he misspell that? Was that actually sphincter instead of
Oh,
sphinx?
Victor says
I
what?
will say this:
Go
Jennifer
ahead.
Lawrence was the first on the happening, and that was good enough.
Oh, so Pablo, why don't you talk about your thoughts on this gargantuan story of massively huge proportions?
I have a couple of thoughts that I don't know if are just me being young or something, but I wanted something more condensed on a few of the issues,
Okay.
especially because then you have the big fight. You have Galactus versus the Sphinx, and that fight is really quick and it's over really fast. And
Mm-hmm.
it was a brutal battle where you see two absolute titans trying to kill each other, and it's wonderful, but it's a couple of pages. So if I had, let's say, one less issue of bulk, and they have that mission where they try to rescue that ship in the middle of nowhere, that was a bit unnecessary for me. But the parts that are consolidated and that are the main story are absolutely incredible. The fight, I love the fight. And here, this panel is when basically they decide we will have two teams. One will stay here and try to save Sander. The other team is trying to save Earth. And the Fantastic Four are just in a hurry. They are dying. They need to do everything fast. Then they take a whole day just to randomly assist somebody in the middle of nowhere, because why the hell not? That takes a bit of that urgency. That is the only part that I don't like. But you have the conflict with the Sphinx and all his. There's that moment when Galactus confronts him and says, "Your species believe that having power means you are God. Even I, Galactus, that are eternal, that has all the power, I'm no God." And you see that level of reality kick in.
For the
That
Sphinx.
yeah,
Great moment.
the Sphinx is supposed to have all the power from the living computer, so he should have the knowledge that no matter how strong you are still
Mhm.
nothing in the great universe as a whole.
Mhm.
Instead of that, he actually believes he has reached godhood. He has reached a level to dominate, and Galactus shows there's something bigger, and Galactus fears it.
Mhm.
Galactus.
And
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna mention that with that talk of godhood, it is fascinating because Sphinx is supposed to be the wizard who dueled with Moses, so
Mhm.
he has this biblical connection to him, which makes it really interesting from that perspective, I think.
But he never saw God itself. He saw the miracles from the hand of God. But if you see the telling on the Bible, it's a bunch of tricks. It's a match of tricks, and Moses have the better tricks. But he never rises a pyramid or something like that. He never does something absolutely mind blowing. He just counters. It's like a magic players that likes blue, and that's it. It's just like counterspell, counterspell, counterspell. Okay, no counterspell for the for the road,
Okay,
but
Pablo,
nothing.
I'm gonna stop you there and just say no.
Dude,
3-drop counterspell.
ooh, okay. Uh, I have been playing the actual counterspell. I finally got my hands on a counterspell, and I'm using it with Isochrome Scepter. That means I have every turn a counterspell.
Oh,
Yeah, that's been an asshole, as I said. But it's basically that. It's just everything you do, no. And that's what frustrated the Sphinx. He is like, I was supposed to be a mage with all the power, and this guy comes with these miracles and show me as a fool, but I still have power, and I roam through the sands, and I finally got the gem of Ka, and with that I got all this power, I have all this magnificence, but I'm immortal, I will never die, so I will have to live with this shame forever. And then he has all that power, and instead of finally releasing himself, he traps himself again.
Mhm.
So that's uh, he doesn't really understand godhood because he has never seen it properly. He has seen his magic frustrated, his magic undermined, but
Mhm.
he never had that moment of actually watching divinity. That
Mhm.
was reserved for later, when he was no longer on Egypt, when he was just this guy roaming the sands.
Mhm.
So he
Mhm.
missed that part. He missed the real power of God.
Mhm.
All he knows is that if you are powerful, you can beat the other guy.
Mhm.
So he's limited that way. Even with all the knowledge of the universe, he's still limited that way.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
so
Go ahead, Gaster.
so in the chat there, Phantom Outsider asks, did anyone remember what happened or didn't with Medusa in the Enclave? In looking this up briefly, just to kind of see where she should appear next. It looks like Medusa doesn't appear next until around issue Fantastic Four, like 240. So it's going to be about a good 30 issues or so before she appears again. So might have to wait just a
Wow.
little
So
bit on that one.
she was held in basically like a coma equivalent for a while. Hot damn. Okay. So okay, before I pass on to our few dudes, what's up, Massgrave and Pale Horse Hitchhiker? Thanks for dropping in, fellas. Now, Clawby or Andy, or both of you guys. I want to know, what was it like the moment you saw Reed had realized he had to go to Galactus to really get to his face? Because this had to have been to me. I mean, I can imagine if I was living in 78, 79, this had to have been a shocker. Like, okay, Reed, you are smart, and for you to say this, you have to be very desperate.
Go
Yeah,
for it.
Galactus was used sparingly back then. He was the big bad. He was the big scary guy that you did not want to see coming around again. You would read about him in the Silver Surfer, and you would hear bits and pieces about him. But that was like when in that original encounter with Galactus, that you see they got by the skin of their teeth, and they would not want to go back to and do that again. And here's Reed that goes in, and not only do they bring Galactus open it up so he can come back and attack Earth. But also, they give him his most brutal herald ever. Up until that point, his heralds pretty much had a conscience and were trying to find him worlds to eat that weren't like they were alive, but they didn't have intelligent life. They didn't have like civilizations. So, but Terax comes along and he's just a dick. And he was really impressive because he was such a different character. And when
Especially
you
from
see,
previous heralds.
yeah, because you had Surfer, Airwalker, and Fire Lord. My first exposure to Fire Lord was in the X-Men when I first saw him there, and then I found out about I was reading the Silver Surfer reprints and got into that. But yeah, Galactus was the scariest guy out there. Like you're sitting there wondering, well, how are they going to do this again? And it's pretty interesting. Like, and of course, Reed has like he gets to work right away on like, all right, I'm going to unleash Galactus. Now I got to find a way to stop him again. So that's Reed, and one of the reasons. I mean, when I look at Pablo, what's his face from Mandalorian, I don't see that level of
Oh, Pedro
intelligence.
Pascal.
Yeah, I don't
He
see that.
Pedro
doesn't command
Pascal.
that. Yeah, my issue with him is he doesn't command that sensation of inhumanity that you need for Goodrick Richards, because he's lost in his thoughts, and that makes him unearthly for everybody else. Is Sue Storm the one that actually sees his humanity that is deep inside? But everything that he projects is just knowledge and intelligence, so it's beyond anything that you can comprehend normally. And Pedro Pascal looks like an idiot most of the time, so he doesn't have that presence. He doesn't have. There's a couple of actors. The I forget the name of the guy that played Dr. House, but he can have that face of I don't care about anything, but have that gleam in his eye
Jude
of
Laurie.
that one, that he actually really cares, but his face is I don't give a fuck. Having that small sadness on the eyes is what you need. Everything else is just unimportant, because you need somebody that is lost. He's lost in his mind.
Yeah, and you need to see that intelligence behind there, that he's thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead of everybody else. He's got the contingency plans to the contingency plans.
Now, Pablo, I want to I'll address, because I know you were saying how you feel. I mean, let me know if I misheard your words, but you felt like the story was going all over the place. I felt like it was actually very organized, because you had main plot, you had subplot, and it wasn't just about the main plot. It was also inserting what was paying off in Nova and weaving everything back together, and then exploiting a confrontation that went south. So they had to resort to another method to, well, achieve their goals, because their methods failed. Also, it happened to be that they were not at their best attacks. I mean, I know I don't know how fast you had to read these issues, but maybe it helps I got to read it throughout the week and really digest it all and see it organizingly. But for me, this felt very organic, the way it all played out. And I've had my mentions of stories that felt all over the place, especially in more recent times within recent Big Two books before I hopped off. This didn't feel like one of those things. It felt like very organized. It felt like panels mattered, small moments mattered. I was all about it, and I feel like this. If anything, I'd even go as far as to say it's a textbook example on how to do a big story. And how's it going, Mars Monkey Max? Go on, Pablo, if you got anything to add to it.
Yeah, it's just they have that issue in the middle that is they help this ship, and that's it. Basically, that's it. And everybody is dead. They didn't even save anybody, so it was a bit pointless to have that in the middle of they are going from Sander to get Galactus.
Well, they
Having a
got
whole issue of
Galactus because they failed.
yeah, but having that issue between Sander and Galactus,
Yes.
that I felt like unnecessary. They could have any issue. there's good moments in that issue. There's that conversation between Johnny Storm and Sue Storm that is
Oh,
really,
I love that
yeah,
moment.
is
Love it.
really
Probably one of
intense.
my
And
favorites of that issue, actually.
you have that moment where Clovey is ready to sacrifice himself, and is Johnny the one that
That's a
blows
fantastic
the
moment
hatch
too.
and saves him, and not even saves him, snaps him out, because now he has to take Johnny back into the ship and save him. Those moments are really good, but those could have happened in the issue where they find Galactus and don't have a whole issue of just that. That felt like it was a break in the pacing that was kind of abrupt, kind of out of nowhere. The rest of the story is really good, and as I said, I just wanted a bit more of Galactus and the Sphinx, because that fight
Okay.
is brutal.
Oh yeah, this the moments you get are brief. I do actually agree with that, but I do enjoy it where it is because I feel like it didn't need to go on. I mean, to me, Galactus need to lay waste to his Sphinx. I think he needs to remind him, hey, no,
Mhm.
I'm the main man in town. Not to get all Lobo-y on this, but that to me was a reminder. And I thought the moments that we got were super epic. It felt very Super Bowl Clash of the Titans like. But now I'm curious, Clubby, what do you feel about the some of the stuff for what Pablo's got? Do you agree? Do you feel mixed on it? Disagree? Where are you at with it?
I understand where he's coming from, but I didn't have as much of a problem with it as he did. I think Wolfman has always been very meticulous and very. I mean, he was writing for the trades before there was such a thing as writing for the trade. I mean, he just liked the soap opera. He liked the threat. If you could read his Teen Titans, his Two of Dracula, it's in
Love
keep
the Titans.
Ors Nova. It's in keeping with all of his entire writing style. He likes soap opera. He likes long sagas. It's what he almost always does, and
Uh-huh.
this is no different. In that respect. The pacing, I think, was a bit awkward in spots, but it's just the way he is, the way he writes everything. So it didn't bother me that much because I like, with the FF at least, I don't mind a long saga. So
Okay.
I pretty much enjoyed it. Yes, this was a pretty crazy. He says we're gonna, when he says we got to go after, the universe itself rests in the hands of Galactus. I mean, perhaps the universe. So, yeah, bum bum ba. And in the next issue, I remember it's one of my first times I ever saw John Bernhardt. Not the first time,
Oh, was it really?
but
Holy
it was one of
damn,
the
dude.
earliest ones I've ever seen of. Well, yes, I do have a. No, I'm just
So I want to ask you another thing, Claudia, because
yes.
I know I asked Andy earlier. I think you definitely should have some perspective on this. What was it like for you? Were you mad when you saw Reed mention we have to resort to Galactus? Did you feel like, you know what, this actually sounds smarter than people realize? Or were you like, dude, what? Are you kidding me? What was it like for you to witness this moment? Because this is a big deal. Like,
It is.
I
Big.
feel like it's kind of underestimated. Like this is like for Reed to do this because once again he's a very sharp guy. He's the macho man, cream of the crop type of
And
sharp guy.
and I feel like to set the stage just a little bit for this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's three of the four. They're stranded on an alien planet, with Sphinx now having having all the power of this living computer made up of all these brains of these these aliens, and he's made it explicitly clear he's on his way to Earth for the sake of destroying it. They won't be able to get there in time. They've been hit by a ray from the scrolls that's going to slowly age them. That's going to age them over the course of 3 days until they get too old. They
3 Earth days.
they die of old age.
Yeah.
They're at the end of their wits, and now we have to go ask Galactus for help.
It's about the size of it, yeah. And again, it was pretty shocking at the time, I must admit. Absolutely. But not as shocking as the cover of issue 209. Because, I remember Herbie was on the cartoon, and we used to make fun of Herbie and laugh at him,
Dude,
when I saw him putting
Herbie!
Herbie, it'll be where he's not what he seems to be.
Of
It
course,
did.
Sue likes Herbie.
Yeah, it was. I remember when I got the issue, I'm like, but Johnny was there, so it was okay because Johnny was there at least and had this fun exchange when they're talking about Ben's bitching about it because he's a cartoon show reject. Pipe down, Ben. I've been working on this design for months. By the way, and then when Johnny mentions I was out of town the day the contracts needed to be signed, and Nova says, "Aha, the secret behind the great FF cartoon show controversy revealed at last." And as a kid reading that in the comic, I'm like, well, teenager reading that in the comic, I did think it was kind of funny, and I said, okay, well, Johnny's there, they're not replacing him with Herbie, so it's cool, and it was kind of funny. Yeah. And Kirby did create him.
And then later on, Herbie betrays them
because he's invaded by Dr. Sun, who infiltrates Herbie and takes over and starts to manipulate him. Did I spoil anything? No, well,
no. No, dude, we're going all in. Like, we're just talking about, like I said, our thoughts on story and a few highlight moments. And thank you for providing the cover, Caster. I do appreciate, sir. And what's up, Grim? How you doing, man? Thanks for dropping in.
You know, there was one bit I loved Ben said here that is so in character for him, where he says, like, if there's gonna be any adorable member of the cast, it's gonna be him. He's not gonna be replaced by no robots.
Oh, that was hilarious.
And then he said, just tell me this, Stretch. He gonna talk back to me like that cartoon show creep? I told you,
dude,
Ben.
Yeah, I understood that.
They had so many jokes to the show, man.
Yeah, I told you, Ben. Herbie is a functioning analog computer. I didn't design a robot with a sense of humor. Herbie, plot course to the Omega Star System, Quadrant 21, Planet Alpha, ME3, Northern Perimeter.
I have an issue with that. In space, how can you tell it's north?
It's Star North.
Because it's a comic book.
Yeah, but still.
I mean, that's the only answer. It's really Star North. Yeah, you can still go up, I guess, in a sense. If technically you can't, but
I feel like Marv Wolfman had to have had a blast writing the thing, because I feel like a lot of the wildest, craziest words take 3 or 4 words, make them one big word. And Marv Wolfman did that a lot with the thing. What's with this thingamajig? He did a lot of that with Ben Grimm, and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I felt like there was almost a vicarious living, because the thing was like a spirit animal, because he got to say the most outlandish lines, but also almost be the realest of the group. And I feel like he also is just the thing also had some of the funniest lines. And I feel like outside of Johnny and Spidey, I feel like Ben Grimm. I feel like this is the one story where Ben Grimm may have even stole some of the best lines, even from Johnny. It was this story. I feel like Ben Grimm had so much to say, and it was fucking entertaining every damn bit of the way. Whoa, Crits and Ball! How you doing, man? And right here, this is a great moment here where right here, where obviously Herbie trips Clobby, not you, Clobby, but this Clobby. He's like, what happened? And then some tells me you're the creep behind this. Only I can't prove it. But you step out of line once more, Tina, and you've had it. This is going to be a space trip I'll never forget. I laughed so hard at that. Johnny's just like, oh, what did I come back to? I should have just stayed back on freaking Earth. What's up, Hypnotic? I laughed. And that's the thing. This comic had a lot of funny moments. And notice we have another building thread here with Arkle and Paris Scroll here. I thought this was oh, what's she building towards? So I'm like, I wonder this is another sprinkling of the planting of seeds here. This is setting up for something greater, because she seems like she has some ambitions herself that I was curious about. Should I keep note of that, Clobby or Andy?
Well, she is a scroll.
Oh, okay. Hey, that's all I need to hear, man. That's all I need to hear. Andy, you got anything or nah?
You muted, buddy.
There's a lot of this stuff that was in in this book that was, you know how like the problems we have with modern stuff that they do, it feels so forced and it feels like so convoluted. There's none of that in here. They, Wolfman really seamlessly put these things together, had little threads that would connect stuff together, and nobody had to question it. And nothing seemed out of place. My favorite things about this now, I loved seeing John Byrne in this because I was a big X-Men fan, and I had really liked him in Iron Fist before this.
Oh,
Well, yeah,
nice.
and John Byrne was the first one to draw Sabretooth too.
Yep, that was Iron Fist was I first saw him.
Yeah,
That was years before X-Men. Yeah.
yeah, that was, I think it was like 74, Clobby, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was,
Yeah.
this story was just so good because this is really what makes the Fantastic Four is they're a family. And you have three of them there that are dying of old age. You get like at first they don't realize what happened to them. They just got zapped with this thing. and the thing is like he's like, "Ooh, why can't I lift this all of a sudden?" So the the relationships between these characters, and this is one of the things that I object to when you get these morons out there that like, oh, it really doesn't matter, blah blah blah. We've read these things for so long. We've experienced the relationships between these people. We have this idea firmly implanted in our minds because we put in the time. We were the ones that made all of the other fandoms that would come after, because if we weren't there, they wouldn't have continued because they wouldn't have been popular enough to continue. So we all have to look back at the fans that came before us and be thankful and grateful to them, because these people that are coming up, like I see some, earlier there was some jackass on Twitter giving Flash some static about you're not welcome in the community. Listen, you son of a bitch. There wouldn't be a community if it wasn't for us. Who are you to speak for the community when, if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be, these comic books wouldn't exist for your buddies to destroy. If they would go back, and it's like we talk about all the time, every week, we see all these different shows, pop culture and things. If these creatives would just go back and see the stuff that got them on the map in the first place and take the lessons from that, they wouldn't have a success problem, because these stories are timeless. You can sit there, you guys are looking at this like, Clobby and I are old enough to experience this when it first came out. But everybody else is catching up on this and like, and look, wow, what a great story. Nick, did you find anything that's dated or anything that's like outside of maybe the occasional rotary phone in an image?
Besides the technology, or maybe even you can even say some of the dialogue that was culturally part of the culture at the time.
Yeah.
Maybe, but that's a maybe. But as far as the way the story is portrayed, good and evil, the suspense, the family, the chemistry, the heroism, the villainous of it all, not one bit of it. Because I thought that's, once again, this brings it back to what I was saying. This feels like one of those stories, in my very strong opinion, that should be up there with the upper echelon stories, not just of Fantastic Four stories, but of Marvel comic stories, of comics in general. This feels like such a well-rounded story, and it tackles a lot of things and brings it all together. And once again, you have a lot of characters. It's very rich in story too. It's all coherent. I can follow everything that was going on. I didn't feel like, for me, nothing felt like I could have taken out and it will not affect the story. I feel like everything, even a smaller bit, had payoff. And once again, callbacks to older bits too. Everything had a connection to something at some point, and I love that. And of course, you had, as I said earlier in the show, you had the murderer's rule of talent, and you could still look at, still admire there's stuff, there's like the splashes. You could just stop and admire it almost like a painting on the wall at your home. There's so much you can get out of the story in a modern sense. They can still take away from. There's so much you can take away from the story. And once again, I can't wait to reread this. I'm gonna read the rest of Wolfman's run, but I feel like this is gonna be one of those stories I'm gonna come back to throughout time. This is one of those stories officially for me. I can feel it with this one.
Yeah,
The
when I
way I
think
have with,
Fantastic Four, my mind automatically goes back to this. It's
I can
so
see why. I can see why now.
yeah, it's so epic. I mean, and there were elements of Burns' run that I liked because I think that there were a couple things that I liked. I didn't like him turning Ben back into the lumpy thing. That was dumb. That was
I actually sort of liked it.
oh, did you? I
Yeah.
Whoa!
just
Look, I liked his first 2 years on the run, 2.5 years. Then I thought he got really bored, and it showed, and I stopped
Yeah.
liking him. He stayed on it way too long, but I kind of enjoyed that.
To me,
It was a
there is
short time.
nothing cooler than the Thing's appearance with the Rocky look.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
But
that
it,
is
it was
so
a short time. But
yeah,
yeah, I agree. I'm
yeah,
totally with you there.
yeah. But Reed Richards being thin and not very muscular because he's not going to be hitting the gym working out. Um, and he really did a whole bunch of things where like he was, um, you got that idea where he was so super intelligent and aloof that he
Uh-huh.
really didn't like kind of connect with everybody else. He might not get jokes and realize when people are joking, things like that. Anyway, um,
But the
but
problem was, Vern, though, is it should have been illegal for him to ink himself. I love
yeah,
still not
Oh,
inking him on
I
this. It's true. I
agree.
mean, I
yeah.
know he got paid triple, but no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andy. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. I mean, the when you see like Vern
Woo!
being inked by Senat or
Especially
Terry
later.
Austin, yeah,
His
yeah,
first 2 years, he was kind of okay, but then, man, everyone was like
Superman.
anorexic.
Him
Oh, yeah.
inking on
Oh,
Superman.
after
Ooh.
about
Ooh.
1985, him inking himself should be a capital crime. Capital crime.
Ooh.
yeah.
But anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, so but one thing that I really like, when you look at the backgrounds and you look at the machinery and things, you see the Kirby influence. You
Oh,
see
yeah.
them
Yes, absolutely.
using the Kirby style for all the machinery and the backgrounds and stuff. And that was the thing that there's a continuity and respect that Marvel had up until like now. You get the modern people in there, and they just look back with hatred and disdain for the people that came before them. They
Uh-huh.
think that they were like these awful, horrible people. Um, and they just, I think they just can't wait to get in and mangle these things. I mean, I'm sure you've seen what they've done with Nightcrawler now. But this stuff here, these guys took these characters that were created, all right, maybe, you know, 15, 20 years ahead of this, like, or yeah, about 15 years ahead of this, but they treated them with love and respect. And now you don't get that. And this really gives you that family feeling. And even with the people on the Nova um,
The
team,
champions. Yeah, the
yeah,
Nova and the champions. Yes, the
you
new
get
champions.
yeah,
Go
you
on.
get that feeling that they're teammates and they're friends. Outside of, I mean, there's a few of them on there that they don't like and they don't get along. They
Diamond
kind of like,
Head.
yeah, yeah, it's
I
little guy.
love Diamond Head.
But anyway, they have even with the Xandar, they have the suzerain there, the leader, and she's in the thing with the uh, top centurion, the Nova guy, and that was the thing that when I saw this was my depiction of Xandar. So when I saw what they did in Guardians of the Galaxy, I was like, oh
Oh,
man, that was what a letdown. I wanted to see that on camera. I wanted to see that stuff, but we didn't get a chance to. But yeah, I think to me this is the one of the definitive Fantastic Four arcs that I always think of when it to me it's right up there with some of the Negative Zone things, some of the original Galactus stories, the um, uh, those really epic Fantastic Four stories. Um, this is to me the one of the best cosmic elements that they've done.
Okay.
that by the way, if you think about the style, even when they go to fetch who will become Terax, he's on his throne, and what you see, a bunch of ladies topless, just let's accept it. It was made for teenage boys. It was clear that panel, but it's absolutely mind blowing the level of detail on everything, because if you see, there's not only boobs on the page. You have all the technology, so if you like the tech stuff, you will be mind blown. You have all that alien just scenery that is absolutely mind blowing that I love. But also you have boobs, so you have everything for everyone.
I got to say though, as I was rereading this over the last couple of days, some of my the most enjoyment I got was reading the ads.
Oh, I can
Mhm.
imagine. You must have had a joy with the ads, man. The ads on comics
Oh.
were so cool back in the day.
Well, back then, like ordering some of the Mego figures, you had to send a check away or a money order away and have it mailed to you. There was no internet or anything like that. It was like, and sometimes that was the only place you could see some of this stuff. It was like they had all the
Wow.
mail away things and stuff, and like and you look at that those toys and action figures you would get, and the Hostess Pie ads that would come along with Spider-Man and the Karate Girl in the back. It was pretty funny. It's like, man, that's you just don't get that anymore.
And
No,
you
you
didn't
don't.
get
It's all in house ads now, and it's boring.
there's different versions of these issues, and if you get the original scans, you have the ads. But if you go for the newer releases, you don't get none of the ads. And there's some other comics that they actually have the ads, and is really cool to have that piece of story on new versions of media. But if you want to read everything, you actually have to. There's a couple of places I will say where you can read it online with everything.
Story continues after next page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I got one of my I think this is my only I'm gonna for sure I have my one criticism of the story. First off, Andy's incredible ad, dude.
Fantastic.
Television cartoon. You know, when I go to my buddy's comic shop, he has a cartoon playing on his TV a lot. It makes me so happy when I rock it. I'm like, oh, you're playing the whole cartoon. I like that. I'll just hang out there, watch the show. I'm like, okay, can I hang around here so I can watch more of this? Yeah, you should hang around here. Yeah, I love it. I love that show. What's up, dearest? How you doing, man? Nice to see you here. Thanks for dropping in. Always good to have one of the boys here. So, okay, my only one critique of this entire story: Ben Grimm repeats this certain line several times. The guy almost on Social Security. I think he says it 3 or 4 times.
Well, he actually does
my
this.
one complaint. That's it. Other than that, I would go as far as to say this is a near perfect story. But that drove me because to me, the first time I said it was great. It was well timed. It was funny. I felt the laugh with that. And then second, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I guess that's just there for in case there's a no read drop in. And then there's the third or fourth time, like, okay, it's getting a bit much.
Chloe is not like a Spider-Man. Spider-Man has the intellect to come with quips every single time. Basically, he does that without even thinking. Chloe is a bit more. He has a routine, and you can see that in a lot of issues. He actually kind of practices how to tease the enemy.
I mean, Klabi also does repeat like a couple of other lines throughout the story. Like he makes
maybe he does. Maybe I didn't notice that too. Go ahead.
Like when they first like face off with Sphinx after he's like grown to super size, Klabi says like, "Oh, he's big as the Statue of Liberty." And then when they show up and they start dealing with Galactus, he says it again. He's like, "Oh, he's big as the Statue of Liberty."
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few lines where so we do see a pattern here. Yeah.
But
some of
it's
Klabi's
not
lines
out of
are
character.
repetitive. Do you feel so? What do you think, Andy? Do you think his lines are him repeating are part of his character or not? Where do you stand? You've been there, so what is your stance on that?
He was under the effects of the aging ray, and as I get older, I find I repeat myself more. So I'll give him a.
Okay. You just brought the valid argument. Oh, cry! And he was part of the aging ray from the scrolls. Shit. I mean, yeah, Oh man, that's a valid argument. That's hard to
I
argue
would
with that.
say I would say like when you're trying to write this many characters and try to have them be separate, like you're probably gonna you're in a Ben Grimm frame of mind. You're like now that should have been the editor catching that to see like, hey, you wrote this the same line of dialogue. But you know what?
Okay.
To me, all right, yeah, you're gonna find little things like that. But I mean, wouldn't you love to read a modern comic book today and that would be your only gripe?
Yeah. No,
But
I'm like I said, this is my only minor
Yeah.
gripe. It doesn't ruin it for me. I'm gonna hold this in high regard, still reread it, still love it. That was just my one thing. I was like, what the hell, man? And obviously I wasn't the only one that knows. Casper pointed out a few other examples, but I will say you do make a valid argument. That's a good, valid argument to it concerning the state of mind. And considering I've read a good bit of Wolfman stuff, he's never really done that with characters before. And maybe that could have been done to the effect of the character. Now, obviously, I'm gonna have to read more FF going forward from Mr. Wolfman to see if that only stuck within this arc versus going forward, Mr. Grimm. But that seriously, that's a great counter argument. I'm like, damn, I wish I could have thought of that. I
not
really wish
only
I could have
that,
thought of that.
not only that it was not out of character, you never see a single panel where he talks where he ditches the accent. Every single line is written perfectly. You can feel the accent on every
Oh
line. So
yes, that's a part I do give Wolfman to. He nails all the voices. I could almost like if I was like listening to like maybe just look at like a script and maybe if I had to like take an educated guess and they didn't show the names attached to dialogue, I feel like I could get at least 85% of the dialogue. Oh, okay, this is Sue's line here. Oh, this is Ben's line here.
Mhm.
Wolfman did have a good grip on the sound of their voices, their individual voices. That's a big thing for me. I don't like it when it feels like all the characters are basically just the writer. I like it when the character is the character. And Wolfman, and I obviously I've now read like about 100 issues of Teen Titans. He has such a good handle on character. And that's saying a lot because he's tackled a lot of characters. And for him to do it so good, especially with characters like the Fantastic Four, yeah, I mean, you could have read it almost like if he was just picking up where Lee and Kirby were at. And I love that. It really feels true to the originals. And while still adding the Wolfman teen dynamic. And this is another page I want to highlight here, or panel here. This is Heroism 101. The fact that Ben puts Sue away so he can be the hero that sacrifices because he realizes there's something that's got to be done that Reed needs to do. I'll stay up here to distract from the mirrors. But Johnny's like, no, if you're going to go down, I'm going to go down with you. And he's like, dude, you crazy son of a bitch. I had this. And they both kind of take the hits together. And I thought, wow, that's such a fucking badass moment that they both were willing to jump in and take the hits together. This is another one of my favorite panels.
they are
Right here.
heroes. That's the
That
point.
is,
They are
thank
heroes.
you, Pablo.
It's what they
They
do.
are heroes. And we'll just admire this because art porn.
Yeah, I
Look
love that
at
panel.
Galactus.
That's a
Come
poster right
on.
there.
That is facts, Pablo. Facts.
know-
Facts.
You know where I want to see this? I want to see this on like the cover of a box of cereal.
Yeah.
I would
Galactus
just
like reaching out.
I would pour the entire gallon into a popcorn bowl with the entire box of cereal and just eat the cereal, admire the art, and oh god, Wolfman when he writes Galactus, dude, it's
Galacto's
chilling.
the
It
cereal.
feels chilling. It almost feels like it reminds you of like when you see the T-1000. Every moment he writes Galactus, it feels chilling, even though he's dangerous, but he's not type of villain. It's oh man, Wolfman had such a great handle on Galactus, and what a great panel to end that issue out with. And shout out to Larry, how you doing, man? And Emperor's NM, nice to see you here as well. Thank you for dropping in, fellas. Hope you guys are having a great Friday night. Klobby's not back, I was gonna have him read one piece of
Yo.
narration.
Yo.
Oh, he's here.
he's back.
Oh, perfect.
Sorry, I don't have much of a voice left, but
Dude, we gotta at least have one narration from Klobby.
all right. Let's see. Since I can't really see that, I'm about to go look at it on the other.
No, if
on
you
my
want to read
screen.
one just
No,
off
no.
one of your pages,
No, I
go ahead.
got it. I got it.
Got this?
All right,
Okay.
it's all the same mission. So, all so well. All right, just that top part there. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. All right, here we go. I think I have this. This is the same on mine.
Even if it's not,
What
just
issue
read
is that?
anyways. This is this is right after Galactus was showing off all the here. Let me go back here. Hold on.
7?
Maybe 208 or 209 after.
Okay, let me check.
Even if it's not, honestly, just read any narration. I just wanted to have something for you to read
I wanna get
because
it
your
right.
narration
Okay.
is priceless.
We'll put that one back up there if you could. And then,
All right.
all right. Just making
Oh,
sure. there you
look at that.
go.
I
That's
made
it.
bigger.
All right.
That's what she said.
Reed Richards, Ben Grimm, Sue Richards, Johnny Storm. Together they brave the unknown terrors of outer space and were changed into something more than human. Mr. Fantastic, the Thing, the Invisible Girl. Oh my God, how sexist. The Human Torch. And now the world will never again be the same. Me who created everything, including the universe and your mommy and daddies, present the Fantastic Four! Exclamation point R. Marv Wolfman, writer, editor, but I wrote it for him, really. Don't tell it makes Marv feel bad. John Byrana, layouts. Yeah, he just laid out there, and I did it all. No, yeah, I did it all. He didn't do shite. Joe Snot, finishes. Yeah, he finishes my cigars and my sentences, but I did all the inking. John Costanza, George's brother. He lied about all kind of stuff, lettering. I did it myself. Ben Sean, colorist. I don't even know who he is or what a colorist does. I do it all. And Jim Shooter, the guy that stole my job, insulting Ed. Oh, I think that's something to do with editing, I think. Yeah. They are the greatest superhero team of all time because I did it all.
All right, so Klobby, if I talked to my comic guy recently and I asked him what were his thoughts on the Lee Kirby situation, dude, he's practically he knows as much as you do. I'm like, man, I feel like I need to introduce you to.
It's getting more and more out there. The truth. Chuck Dixon did a video.
No, but he was one of the few that was ahead of it.
No, I've been ahead of it for 40 years.
And I know you were, but it seems like he was also one of the few. So you two were some of the few. You two.
Well, it's always good to know it feels better. Like Chuck Dixon did a pretty interesting video regarding it not too long ago, but I won't go far into that.
I've got to watch it. I love his love his channel. By the way,
he seems to know a little bit of the truth about old Stan. But
I watch his stuff more.
And what here's that thing. Once again, Klobby putting Sue away. If you just look at this odd context, you think, oh no, he's being better. So no, he's doing that because she's not right for the situation. Then he goes to help Johnny, as I was mentioning. Heroes being heroes. Oh, let's go admire Galactus' ship, by the way. Let's just admire the ship because
it's freaking cool.
A fucking behemoth.
I was going to say
behemoth.
something that people don't really understand about Stan Lee. He was really good at marketing. He was really good at marketing himself as bigger than anybody else. And that is part of what made the brand big, but also is his downfall because
he was a good salesman. You know?
Yeah, it was incredible as a salesman, but that made him a terrible person in a lot of situations.
Yeah, well, it's probably not a good thing to litigate here. You just get in trouble.
All right.
If I do.
Shout out to TZ Burton. Obviously, he's got Comics Division plushie. Says, hail to all the gents here. I just came over from watching Sleazy P Martini, formerly of Guar. Dude, I talked to Sleazy P way back in the day. That is cool, man. I love Guar, dude. Guar, man.
I love the
Legend.
question that Darius said on the chat. Who has the
bigger ego? Bob Kane or Stan?
Bob Kane. Well, what you have to think is that maybe Stan Lee created the both
Stan's
things.
not even close.
So yep.
Stan, not even close. But anyway, I won't get into that.
Oh, okay. See that easy answer right there.
Not a
Okay.
Bob fan, but yeah, this I love that
Hey,
shot of the ship though. Again,
Like this ship is
pure
incredibly
Kirby.
drawn.
Galactus ship.
Yeah. I'd even argue that the animals, the zoo inside Galactus's zoo is pure Kirby too. Look at the eyes and the patterns on all the creatures, the way they all look so out there and otherworldly. Yeah, I'm like, this is obviously he was having a Kirby time with this, and it shows so
Yeah,
hard.
I
You
mean,
know what?
Byrne
That's
has-
shameless ripping off.
Byrne, emulated him a lot, even though he, of course, insulted him later when he became a company man for Marvel, so he could suck it. But he did emulate him a lot, learned a lot from him, pretty much owes him most of his style and everything, his training and all that stuff. But yeah, like most of the guys at that time.
And of course, another great panel. This was the opening page, I think 211 or 212 right here. Great shot here when they had to go get Terex. So, because Galactus said, hey, if you want me to make this deal, we're going to make this shit happen. And they have to go on. Now, here's
that
okay.
panel.
Now, this is okay. I lied and I was wrong. I did have a second nitpick. This is a nitpick, not like this crushes how I feel.
No,
But I was
nipple?
just like,
Sorry.
the fact that you had all of them having that same haircut and they're trying to present them in a way that's, I guess,
He's the species.
exotic.
Everybody on that species
And I'm
looks
like,
like that.
you could never make that haircut look good ever, where it's bald on
Wait,
top.
if you were looking at their hair and not something else, I have
Dude.
bad news for you.
Keep
Well,
my alien's name out your mouth.
Oh, I'm gonna stand by this. This kind of hurt it. Not the way it was drawn; it was well drawn, but the fact that with the bald heads and yes, Joe was a master, but I don't like the bald head with the hair. I hate it. Hate it.
I like it better than if it were a complete bald head, but that's just me. I like long hair.
You know what? I agree. Clubby, I'm 100%. If you're a do bald, just go all the way. I can actually respect.
No, I'm saying no. I said I like
I
that
like
better than a
Dragon.
complete bald head. I don't like a bald head at all.
Oh,
so
see,
I would take the hair
prefer
like that
bald.
rather than be like a moon dragon or Ilea.
Oh, see, I prefer the moon dragon look by a landslide.
Not me.
I
but hey.
don't. Ooh, okay.
I never even thought of this till you mentioned it. Their hair like that didn't even faze me.
I feel like, to me, either go all in or have none of it. And this, like I said, very well drawn panel because you can see who rules the throne. Fantastic for reacting to it, but
I'm getting Klingon vibes.
A bit, yes.
Well, yeah.
Well,
No,
there's a lot of
that's
references
for
to
sure
Star
thing.
Trek and Star Wars in these issues. Even
Also,
Trek fan.
Also, one of the monsters in one of the monsters inside of Galactus's zoo is Hedorah, by the way.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep.
The Godzilla monster, the smog monster. It's straight up. It's Hedorah.
And the Watcher's there, guys.
Cool.
He's letting you know he's there, and he sees what's going on, and his interference has to be minimal to none.
Well, there's that discussion between Johnny and the Watcher is just like, my presence here did not change the fate of Earth. This was not the day that Earth was being consumed by Galactus, so I did nothing. And Johnny's like, you're bending the rules, man.
That was a great conversation. That wasn't the last one, though. That was the very last chapter, second last chapter.
Guys, I love this panel here. This looks like this should be like
he's
off of
trying
like
to
and this should be like the cover of like an oh fuck,
a gatefold
like-
vinyl, vinyl where they got
exactly.
the front and the back, and you unfold the vinyl, and it's all this art. Oh,
What made me loud?
I was going to either Elo or Blue Oyster Cult.
oh,
That works too.
Blue Oyster
But
Cult would be a
something
very
that
good
made
fit.
me laugh about this is the Sphinx is saying that he's recreating Egypt as it was before. It has flying pyramids. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that might not be accurate to the original. Just saying, he's taking a bit of liberty on what the hell he is. It's like,
No.
I'm recreating Egypt as it was before, flying pyramids, a fountain in the middle.
No.
Okay,
Ancient aliens.
you have a different memory of Egypt than the Egyptians.
Andy.
No, I totally remember this from Kung Pao Under the Fist. That
Oh
was the
yeah.
trend.
Andy, obviously it seems like okay, so I guess before the 90s happened or even the 80s, it seems like the splash pages were not as frequent. So what was it like for you to just open up and then just to see this?
This was so I started drawing because from comic books, I would copy pages and copy different. In fact, for the longest time, I there's an issue that comes along right after this arc where they're fighting Blastar, and there's this great issue, and I remember drawing that one, and I held that. It was one of the pictures I was most proud of. But this, my brother and I both drew them. We tried drawing this one, and the perspective on this was so hard to try and figure out because like we were just kids, we didn't know anything about like the rules of drawing and perspective and stuff. This thing was epic. This was so cool. You open this stuff and you saw floating pyramids and everything's gold and like in marble and all this stuff. That was just amazing. When you saw that, that was holy crap. This guy is like he's just made stuff out of nothing. Visually, this the comics back then I thought were, I mean, and probably biased because it's my heyday, but man, I think that was pretty much their peak. There you had some artists that were, I really liked Byrne style, Buscema's style. I liked Perez. They had that nice clean look to it. Although I'll confess when I liked when I read titles like Doctor Strange and Tomb of Dracula, I liked the Gene Colan, like eerie, smoky, hard to pin down all the details on. I
Yeah.
like that look. But for stuff like this was just absolutely amazing. And now I think that it was better when you had pulpy pages and you had something like this come along because now everybody expects all the glossy stuff and the computer generated coloring and all that stuff. I think this was much more artistic and much more. I mean, I just think of the amount of work that went into that image and how hard it was to create that, like that black effect with the stars and everything in the background.
Yeah.
To sit there and try and do that on a piece of paper yourself, your paper would wave up and stuff like that because the wetness of the ink. It would have been a pain in the ass. But man, this was mind blowing seeing that.
I have to give most of it to be honest with you. I give most of that credit to Sinat.
Agreed.
His full background. I mean, because Byrne did the layouts, which is great.
Yeah.
Like I said, he'd been doing before this. I've seen him on X-Men and Marvel Team Up even before that, and like you said, Iron Fist even before that. And unlike Byrne himself, I actually like some of those guys. He didn't like his early stuff on Iron Fist. Different inkers, but it all is at this time with these kinds of you should say scheduling for these comics. Because the previous issue before Byrne took over, Sal Buscema did the pencils on it. Senate inked that. Then Senate was unavailable for the one after it. So you see an ink credit says D hands, which actually stands for diverse hands. I don't mean that kind of diverse. It means multiple people inked it and you'll never know who they are. And so these scheduling was such that Byrne was doing a few other books. He could do the layouts, which was nice, but Sinat had the real, I think it did the heavy lifting on how the visuals on that. At least that's my take on it. I could be wrong.
I have something to say about that comparison between new art and old art, and it's something that's why I gravitate so much into manga, because in manga they don't really use that much computer graphics as a way to make art faster. They just keep doing it by hand. They keep going and trying to recreate whatever they have in their minds into the paper.
Uh-huh.
And that gives you a lot of leeway that if you are following a 3D model, you can't, because a 3D model basically follows the structure of the rendering software. So it looks too flat, too 2D at the end. But when you are doing things with a heavy deformation, with a heavy use of angles to justify that you cannot draw this part or that part, something like Ditko did to avoid drawing feet, or Kirby did because he didn't have that experience with anatomy. So at the beginning, he was just layering parts. That gives you a lot of movement. That gives you that dynamic feeling on art that you really need, because you are not seeing a canvas that is just this scene and that's it. You are seeing the flow of something happening, especially on a fight. You need to feel that something is faster, something is slower, the magnitude of the punch. If you read One Piece, for example, that sensation of the punch coming to you and you see the body in movement,
Uh-huh.
it gives you all the power that you need. You understand how much energy is into the punch. But when you see current comics, yeah, it's really stylistic, but it's flat, it's soulless.
Hmm.
That is the huge difference. You need to impart that sensation. If you have ever been in an accident, nothing looks completely flat. Everything is blurry and out of proportions because your
Yeah.
brain is trying to just think about everything that is happening at the same time. It doesn't have the time to just process everything perfectly. So images look distort. That is what you need. If you are just flat, yeah, it's beautiful but soulless.
Oh, Solus is the biggest one of them all. It's the biggest one. And Release of McCracken, thank you. I'm just getting to this now. Thank you for sending this image. Appreciate it, sir. Shout out to Release of McCracken of the Legion of Memers and promoting the stream. I gotta highlight when someone shows a meme. And one of the mirrors plastered my face right over here. Thank you, sir. No,
You,
Pablo, I hate it when the image feels soulless. You could look at it and you can feel the soullessness. It really hurts. It really
and
does.
to kind of piggyback of what you were kind of bringing up with One Piece, Oda has talked about oftentimes when he's drawing, when he's writing, he's trying to really just kind of uh really bring in that there's a sound effect he uses quite a bit called dawn, which
Yes.
I think is supposed to be an onomatopoeia for like the sound of an impact.
And
And that's something he's always kind of got in mind when he's drawing.
oh yeah, but there's something else, and I have noticed, especially on artificial intelligence generated art, that there's a lot of. If you don't know, Japanese media is really perverted, so there's a lot of naked ladies, and they have been doing eye art of this kind of style, and I look at it and it's perfect proportions, everything is there. Yeah, but you miss that part of even the perversion on the artist, because
Mhm.
artists have that tendency of exaggerating certain parts or exaggerating the pose or going over the top on certain things. A computer cannot do that. A
No.
computer doesn't understand the perversion or the animosity or the anger or the happiness. It doesn't understand that. So trying to replicate what a
It's
machine does,
tricky. Yeah,
yeah,
it's tricky. It's very
you can
tricky.
you
And
can draw
sometimes
book.
I've seen decent digital pencilers, and they look bad under a bad digital colors. But if you change the colors, they look 20 times
Yeah,
better because
you
they
can
have someone who
draw.
shows off their image that much better.
Yeah, you can draw perfect books, but
Yeah.
you will never have that picaresque sensation that the Bint Lily adds or the Bint Lily comic strips had. If you don't know, Bint Lily was Barbie before Barbie. Actually, Mattel purchased Bint Lily to basically try to erase her from existence because they took a sex doll and turned it into a toy for girls, right?
Uh-huh.
That's the original story of how Barbie came to be. And those drawings are simple, don't show really much, but you feel the intention. You feel that they were a bunch of perverted assholes. If you see I generated art that is perfect, you don't get
Uh-huh.
it. It's
Oh, you do.
absolutely empty.
It is very empty. I hate it when that happens because it shows so hard. So okay, we're gonna bring it back because we don't actually have many panels here. I think these are panels worth discussing. Just some of the great dialogue moments between Galactus and the Sphinx. I was like, Sphinx, you speak in riddles, but they will not help in saving you. The time for words is over. Now there is only time for battle. I was just like,
I love that
man.
fight.
And dude, this fight, man, it's once again, it's straight up the Super Bowl. It looks good. It's Clash of the Titans. I love when Galactus came up from literally from under him and freaking, I was like, damn, dude. And then he brings the Sphinx to his knees. I was just like, damn. He freaking he brought him to the slaughter at the end, and the Sphinx is at the mercy at this point. I was just like, holy shit. Wow.
The Sphinx thought he was going to be breaking the cycle and breaking this eternal wheel he's been on,
That
only for Galactus
punishment.
to force him
Yeah.
into having to relive
It's an
these 5,000 years over
it's an
and
endless
over.
loop of him dying and dying and dying and dying and being unable to understand why. That's the biggest part. Because he is reliving everything time and time and time again, he will never understand the other option because he is absolutely alien to him. The only thing that could ever be is that time loop, that specific time loop, nothing else. He cannot live outside of that, and that is terrifying.
That time he went and got some really bad pizza. Yeah,
Yep.
he's gonna do that every time now.
And he
He's
will
gonna get
be
that
as
food poisoning.
disappointed every single time because that's part of the loop.
Another
He
great
can
moment here after Galactus is victorious, and you see Galactus is about to finally get what he wants. And Reed not only says, "Hey, I got this gun. This is what puts an end to you," but the Watcher, I don't want to say, I don't know if you want to say intervenes or vaguely intervenes. That's very interpretable. I'm just gonna say, to me, in my opinion, he intervened. I straight up say he intervened. Was it necessary? Maybe because he needed to block off Reed's mindset to know that Reed had a fake gun in front of him the entire time, and Galactus
Mhm.
bought it. And you know what? It's probably one of the very few ways you can make me be sold on it, because yeah, I feel like it was necessary for the Watcher to get involved. I mean, unless our guest
Yeah.
has another way of
Was.
how you have handled it, I'm actually with how Wolfman handled this. What do you got to say about how this ended
Yeah.
up, Andy? Oh, turn your mic on.
Oh, what was that?
How do you feel like Wolfman handles any with the Watcher getting involved? Because in my opinion, he straight up got involved. I know he's like,
Oh
I
yeah,
kind of did, kind of not. To me, he got involved.
yeah.
And to me, was it necessary?
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
because it's the only way this would have worked. Because this was a gamble and a half on Reed Richards' part.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
So,
we've got the Watcher getting involved, not getting involved, like our Watcher, over and over and over again. He was
yes.
always just kind of like, uh, yeah, but you can't really prove that I did it. So
And I think, for the sake of anyone who's listening who hasn't gone through this yet, to explain briefly what's going on, is that Reed has basically a pile of junk he's amalgamated into something that he's claiming is the ultimate nullifier. So he's claiming to have the ultimate nullifier again. And it just so happens that the Watcher happens to be reading his mind, and that means apparently Galactus can't also do it. So Galactus has no way of being able to scan his mind to find out if he's being honest about this being the ultimate nullifier or not. He has to be willing to risk being nullified by Reed.
Yep.
So then he says, well, you know what? Fine. Screw you guys. I get to come back anytime I want now, Reed. So you better not poop too long, because otherwise I might be coming when you're like sitting on the John, you're squatting one out really hard.
Well, technically, the Watcher knows the fate of Earth. So when he's
does.
saying that that's not the moment when Earth falls to Galactus,
He knows
He's
the
been
moment when
serious.
the Browns go to the bowl.
yeah.
Straight up.
So basically, the Watcher was not really middling with anything. He was just there as he always are.
Okay, fair argument. So now this is where he really comes back around for Johnny Storm. And I know we end up going a little longer, but it seems like the conversation was going really good with it. And it seems like the chat was really involved in it. So I guess it works out. But this is the very last issue. Torch is the last man standing. And also, he wants to have his family be young again. And he goes to Iron Man, and aka Tony Stark's bodyguard, because secret identities were a thing once upon a time. And
Yeah.
Tony Stark's not available. And luckily and kind of conveniently, one of the scrolls is still hanging around, even though he also tried, getting hold of, Adora as well. She's busy finishing off the war.
Again, a bit of
But
boob there.
yeah, toxicity, yeah.
The
Scrolls
artist, man.
there, and he happened to have the gun that aids them to begin with. And the fact that Johnny Storm, got into a rematch, lost, got into a rematch, got the gun, saw it was a robot all along, and then he woke up Reed, and he got on that piece to make his eyes, basically look like a handyman. I was just like, yeah. And Muhammad said still here. Hell yeah, dude. And he wakes up Reed, and he thought he failed, and he thought, oh, shit, I really do have no purpose. Even set the gun. Look, I actually kind of felt that moment. I was like, damn, dude. He really didn't want to let down everyone he truly does care about until the great, wholesome, happy moment.
The fun
And I
part
was
is
like,
that he fires twice, so they are technically younger than they should.
yeah. Oh, and they're talking about how their powers work even better than before, and they're so excited about that. And I was just like, God, that's fucking cool. And what a great last panel. It made me feel like, hell yeah, man. Hell, I felt the cheer in this one. I really did.
It's the end of the cheesy 80s movie where everyone has the fist up in the air like the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, it's sweet. Yeah.
Everyone just stops moving. The credits just rolling.
Okay, before I go pee, I just want to say once again, I love this story. It was a great story. It was a great comic, Marvel comic, action comic, Johnny Storm story. Johnny Storm is one of my favorite characters. This really was just everything for me. I had so much fun despite my very, very few nitpicks. This feels like one of those stories I'm going to go back to, think about, and just have fun rereading it, just melding in the world. It's so rich. I've said so many things. I'm basically going to be on repetitive territory. I'm just not going to even say it again, but I had fun with this. Andy, I had so much fun. I'm so glad you recommended this. I'm so glad, because I had a blast talking about this. And it lets me know that, dude, I'm like, you guys didn't just have it good. I'd say you guys were fucking spoiled. You probably didn't know it then. Or maybe you did. I don't know. You and Claude.
No, we didn't. We didn't know. I didn't.
But
I mean,
you guys.
we bitched back then. I did.
Spoiled, man. I'm like, this is just a Wednesday. This is just a Wednesday for you guys to get stories like this.
Yeah, this looking back, I mean, this was such I mean, and we would get these things and we would read them and reread them, and me and my brother collected them, and so we realized that we were doubling up on things, so we broke it off. I would collect this stuff over here, and Ed would collect that stuff over there. He would get Thor, Avengers, stuff like that. I did X-Men, Captain America, um, Daredevil, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and we would swap off, and we would we would go out and we would get these like half cover things at the farmers market, and there were 11 for a buck. So for $5, my dad could shut us up for for hours. So he was more than willing to make the sacrifice for that, and keep us quiet and we would swap back and forth, and we'd practice drawing the different pictures. And you just reread these things over and over and over again because you didn't have anything else like you have today with the internet where you can just pull something up. It was a much better time because you really got to when you talk to guys like my age, Clavia's age, because we know all this stuff so much because we reread them over and over again, and they were cheap enough to do that. But the story and quality that they had, and the love that the creators had for this stuff. Nowadays, you see, once they became big business, you had every hack in the world that wanted to use comic books as a vehicle to try and get in the comic books to make a Hollywood screenplay to get a movie done so they could be famous. They don't care about the medium. They don't care about the stories and the impact. Yeah, we were lucky. We were really lucky.
We were. Yeah. And although, look, I don't know about you because I don't know how close you are to my age, but I still, Andy, I would still, there were times I must admit, if I would buy a Justice League comic with a George Perez cover and open it up and it has a Don Heck on the inside, I would whine about it. Yeah, I mean, I was like, oh man, bait and switch. I bitch about the art sometimes, but man, of course, we didn't know how well we had it.
Yeah.
Either. It's one of those, also a thing like you don't know how well you had it sometimes. But stuff like this made it so much fun. And the challenge is, again, you didn't have a folder, at least. There were no comic shops where I was at the time until a few years later when I helped start one. So you didn't have a folder or a pull list. So you hit the rack and you hope you found the new issue of FF. And that was one of my never miss list.
Oh, well, I'm 56, and I remember I missed X-Men 137. I got there and it was gone, and it took me a year to track that thing down.
Wow.
Yeah, 59. I'm 59, and I remember it happened to me a lot the same way. But again, you couldn't track the comic down unless you ordered it somewhere out of like from Mile High or something.
Wow.
Here anyway, they had some people like the flea market would sell back issues here and there, but until 81, 82, when I helped start the first shop here, a comic shop. Well, I remember when I first heard about, it's like, so is that a store that sells comic books? Like,
inconceivable.
What? I mean, I know that the 7-Eleven has it, but that's not what you call a comic. No, a store dedicated to selling comic book? No, it's just what? But yeah, it was. And although again, other places in the country did have them, it's just you're talking about way down south here, so we didn't have anything. So
all right.
Yes.
Welcome, John Capola. Thanks for dropping in, sir. Nice to see you. And I don't know if Andy has read it. I know I have been reading it. I know obviously Ironcast has been reading it. Obviously, issue number 5 came out this week from the current Titan Comics
I need to read it,
which I've been really enjoying. Now, this is the first issue with Doug Braithwaite. I can't
Braithwaite, yeah,
Braithwaite.
he's not longer
I'm gonna
De La
say
Torre?
he ain't Roberto De La Torre, but he's still solid and he still pays respects to his style. And it had some brutality. It had some, and I will be non-spoilers here. I'm just gonna be quick. It had some brutality. Now, I'll admit the first pages were a little confusing, but by the end of the comic, I was like, okay, I'm really looking forward to this story arc because everything started to eventually make sense. But I definitely would say, yeah, definitely it has been a good comic and it's been a good run to read. Andy, this is from Jim Zub, who's currently writing Conan the Barbarian for Titan Comics. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun, and it's super fucking intense. And I have been like it's been like yowza. Like it's a lot. I could say there's been a lot of brutal Conan stories, but this really does bring it up to another level. It really does. And
I want to
I
check
do
that out.
know Titan is coming out with a Savage Sword book along with a black and white edition as well. It seems like they want to keep it like 2 to 3 books and not go beyond that, so they cannot feel like, okay, there's so much Conan. They want to really make sure it's condensed. And I think the black and white's just like a special edition, and the Savage Sword is just a limited series as well. So I would say if you want a comic that's new and you can get enjoyment out of it, that's one of them. So I have been enjoying that. I'm trying to think if there's any others I've been. Well, Firepower is going to end soon from Kirkman, and that has been fun, and that's going to end next month. So it was good with that. It was good, and it will be missed. And Big Game, I will say once again, shout out Mr. Mark Miller. I cannot wait till he'll be back on the market. Come March, I think he said he's going to announce his 5 books he's got for the year of 2024.
Hey,
Apparently,
So,
what?
so
Go
I,
ahead,
I have
Bobby.
heard some good.
Or Caster, go ahead.
Good guess.
Oh, I was just say I've heard some pretty good reported sales numbers for the upcoming Duke comic for GI Joe.
Oh, for Duke, yes, there has been apparently some good numbers reporting. I know I've talked to my comic guy about Duke, and it looks like there are guys who are curious about checking out Duke, who actually want to read it and hopefully like it and talk about it. So, I mean, I've heard about numbers, but I try not to judge out those numbers too much because they are about what's shipped versus what's sold. But since I go to a shop that's one of the biggest ones in the state, I feel like that's a fairly decent idea. I feel like I can at least it's appropriate to answer off that. Guys want to check out. A lot of guys are really enjoying Transformers, and after how Transformers #2 played out, they want to check out Duke. They want to check it out and see what's going on, see if it's a G.I. Joe comic that they can invest in for 5 issues as a limited series. So, hey, I hope Duke's Lawyers. I know, Kessler, I hope you and I get to do a review piece on that one. I'd love to do it. Because I want to deliver, man. I want to deliver. And we can use that enthusiasm because, when we get the last Ronin or a big game is less and rarer than a dime a dozen. It's like, wow, it's a freaking unicorn sighting nowadays. It's a unicorn sighting nowadays when you get them. It's nice when you have it, but it's we could definitely use a lot more of it. And luckily we got some stuff, from the Indiegogo scenes. Like my buddy Hojo has got the Mythicals #2. He's currently publishing, and we're gonna get him on early next year to promote it. I got Geary from Pop Culture Minefield. He's got a comic he's working on. I think it's called The Vindicated. We're gonna get him on and talk about his comic too. Obviously, Chuck Dixon and Joe Bennett with Alpha Core #1. We'll definitely talk about that one comes on here. So we'll definitely talk about that. I mean, it definitely seems like a book that is going to definitely have a lot of conversations around. Especially, I think it was the Saska sisters you mentioned. Like, there's a lot of things that you'll have to go back and reread off of it to like better understand. But okay, if that I can't remember if that's what they say. If I misinterpret there, if either of them still listening, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like what I gathered from one of the streams. So there's definitely this book's definitely gonna be one of those rereads. So that's good.
great.
I want a story that has me coming back to it. So I'm really excited for Alpha Core #1, and yeah, we'll definitely be on it. And Andy, if you want to come and join us when Alpha Core is a discussion, just toss it out there. If you're not available, totally cool. But it's just one of those. You're one of the guys who has a place amongst this table as long as you want to join
Thanks
us.
very much. Yeah, I'm enjoying Eric's stuff. I really liked Isom 2, where he went into
I do too.
he went into a little bit of like you can tell it's definitely not our world, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I like Flores Park. I really like Flores Park, Texas. I really like it.
Yeah. I think it's like, I mean, yeah, there's criticism out there for it, but like, it's everything should evolve with it. I mean, if you look back at I really like the old Captain America stories from 1941, but they're not that good, but they're very clunky. They're very like, comic book written, but I like them. There's a charm to them. So everybody's got to grow with it. And if you go in and you're buying a product because now there's stuff out there that really stinks, but I think this has a lot of potential, especially with the talent that he's pulling together.
I
Um,
see. I genuinely enjoyed ISOM too. I really did. Like I remember saying ISOM number one was pretty good, but ISOM number two I really enjoyed. Like that to me it was like, okay, you got my attention here. And it feels like he definitely takes from a lot of older writers in the sense where he wants a story to really lay a foundation down. And he's not someone who's just trying to get you there to be in it and then done with it right away. Which obviously we're in the TikTok world, it seems like that has not registered with some, obviously. And I think a lot of people obviously they have forgotten that a lot of comics were like that, where things would play out throughout a long game type of period, whereas people want to be so instantaneous with things. And I feel like issue two definitely gave me some perspective on things, but yet there's still things that are not answered. But I do feel like that's okay because he's still playing the story out. And on top of it, we got all these other books. And I feel like ISOM 2 also felt like ISOM no 1 proper in a way because ISOM 1 to me felt like Ripiverse number 1. That's what I got. I don't know if that's something you got of it, but that's what I got of it from me. Well, ISOM 2 felt like Avery Silman's story proper. So I'm looking forward to when ISOM 3 hits, and well, obviously we'll talk about that when we get to there. Yeah, you got that. Obviously, Jason Sandberg, if you're out there listening, I'm looking forward to Jupiter 2 when the hits, man. It feels like, there's stuff to, get excited about and to get conversations talking. And hopefully out there, someone's got something that they say, you know what, Nick, what do you think about this? Does this feel like you want to talk about it? If I feel like I believe it, we'll talk about it. And I want to see who's got something that they really believe in, and I want to show it off to the world. I want people who really stand by their work and are really passionate about what they do. Even if I'm not like totally with the style, I want to see someone who really stands by their work. I can respect that alone, and I can bring someone based off conviction alone. I want to see the passion. I want to see the enthusiasm. I mean, for me, this is still like the greatest reading medium ever, and it's not even close. Like I enjoy my chapter books. I enjoy my magazines. I've enjoyed music pieces. I've enjoyed biographies, but comics is the thing for me at the end of the day. It's the thing I will always think about and just want to go back to reading. And I want there to be a future for it. I really want there to be. And with reprints coming out of the classics and then stuff like Conan coming out and kicking ass, I want there to be a future. But in order to be a future, there needs to be stuff that people could get excited about. So we do gotta have it both ways in that regard.
Giggity.
Yeah, and I think the most important part is not just that there's a kind of this that Marvel and DC continue on or whatnot, but there needs to be some outside energy kind of coming in to shake the industry up, and that's ultimately what Rip is doing. That otherwise you have this little self-contained industry which becomes very stagnant, very uh, uh, incestuous with itself.
Yes.
People jumping from company to company to company to company to company, and you have all these people within that little environment that know each other and will basically protect each other. And there's never you never see the bad actors getting shaken out when you have just that closed system.
It feels, especially when you have an industry that is really big, that moves a lot of money, it gets filled with nepotism. And if you have seen what happened with favors for the Obamas, that destroyed comics a lot. Because a lot of the people that you have at this moment, well, they got political favors. They were friends of somebody powerful, and that's that. In the wild, in industries that are more indie, or in the sector that we have with Indiegogo, with Eric, we have more of you earn your place, no matter who you know, no matter who is backing you. You have to prove yourself. and that makes you actually work. When you have everything set up in a way that you won't be fired because you have a political alliance, that lowers the amount of work that you are willing to put into something, and that takes away from you. I know a lot of the people that are working right now on Marvel are not that terrible. The issue is that they are set up in a way that they don't need to be good either. So why the hell give an effort? And you are seeing the shit that they are coming is just lazy, and
I
to be
can
honest,
point
this.
out quite a few who are downright terrible,
Oh yeah.
by the way. I
What
can
they
go
are
into
doing
that a
with
little
Mystique
bit.
right now, that's the show of somebody that is terrible. That somebody that doesn't really understand even the powers for Mystique, because Mystique cannot change her chromosomes, only her appearance. So she cannot create a sperm. So it's she cannot impregnate anybody because she will have a functional dick, but no functional gonads.
Yeah, I mean that whole I mean that's the whole thing was an idea they want that I think like Chris Claremont wanted to do back in the 80s, but the editors told him that was taking
Yeah,
things way too far.
you need to understand how the
And
powers work.
then we wound up getting Azrael out of it, Azazel out of it.
Oh, talking about Israel.
TZ.
Oh,
That last 4 years, I believe it. Dude, I'm kind of with you there. And welcome
if
to
you
the
are
chat,
into the
dude.
Japanese industry for comics, for manga, for anime, or for VTubers, you will understand that I hate unicorns. Unicorns are the worst.
Oh. We're fine in my book. It's just
Oh no,
fine.
unicorn in that context is the kind of fan that will never touch a real person, so they really get into the fictional character. And trust me, that's not the kind of people that you want in your fandom. That's a cesspool. That is going for Marvel also because Marvel is catering to exactly that kind of people.
Well, and the big problem there is ultimately because they're propped up by Disney, who only needs them just to keep churning out ideas. There's no need, no desire, no true dire straits to force them to have to make any changes, especially not when they just like when they're just buying the cheapest talent around who
Yeah.
will take a low enough
But
paycheck. Like
if,
I'm sure if they could get away with paying them minimum wage, they would.
even if you are going for the cheaper, the logic is this simple. If you have to eat, you have to work. If you have to work, nothing else matter. You do the best. Because if not, you are on the street and you will have nothing to eat. And that's what motivated a lot of the great comic book artists. I hate to say this, but if some people of the old school were paid decently, they will have not been that prolific. There's
That's true.
exceptions.
Very true.
There's a lot of people that actually love to draw, love to write, but when somebody has enough to live, why to make the effort? So,
No, it was considered a rundown medium. Then now comic strip artists who had big lucrative deals with syndicates like King Features and others,
mhm.
they were the celebrities, and the comic book artists were the slum. They're the slum. You know the big time names like Hal Foster and Alan and Alex Raymond and people like that. Johnny Hart. All the big names. They didn't hobnob with the comic book artists. They were better. They were too good for them. So it's kind of, if you got a big gig as a comic strip artist though. That's the way it was back then.
Yeah, but if you are, especially if you are on newspapers or when newspapers actually existed, my grandfather used to do the it's not cartoons. How do you say it on English? The caricatures.
Caricatures,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Right.
for newspapers. He worked on that for 70 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So even when he had these big moments with really, really good positions in the government and things like that, he was still working on his cartoons, because if he stopped, then when he was not into that position, he will have nothing. He will be out of job. So he still was drawing. He still was trying to make better stuff, and that was that pressure of, you need to have each day one caricature. So each day something needs to be on the papers, and each day needs to be something relevant to what's happening. So even if you wanted to do a lot of stuff in advance, you have to choose the topics and even have that future side to say things will go this way, to make the cartoon for that uh, that situation. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of heavy work, and that kept him every single time on his feet. That kept him every single time coming back and trying something crazier and crazier. And guess what? It worked. Every time it worked. So much that the president and vice president of my country in several occasions were like, fuck you, motherfucker, you are making us look like clowns. Well, that's my job. That's it.
All right. What's up, Jonah Hex? I see you here. You came a little late, but thank you. I'm only saying that just because we only got a few minutes left of the show, but thank you for dropping in. Please catch the rest of this show because it's been a fucking good show. And welcome, Splash Page Comics. I haven't seen you before, but thank you for dropping in. He had a great comment. Said, my comic shop opened 1975 in Texas. If you don't mind, Tommy, I don't know if you want to send a direct message on the social media or an email, but what town? Because I'd like to know. Because I'm gonna be in Texas twice next year, and if I'm anywhere close, I'd love to give your shop a look at it. You know, give you some.
I can name you a bunch of shops to go to there.
Oh, dude, I've been to one in Houston. I think you and I and 24/7 talked about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You went that one.
Oh, and I'm going back to there.
Oh, go there. Yeah.
I told Loki that I'm going to give him a heads up because I'd like for us to all go there next year.
Yeah.
I am already looking into that. Trust me, that's going to happen. But I do want to know of other shops, and I'm going to ask you, Claudia, as I get closer because I want to know. I want to know. But anyways, thanks for dropping the comment. Dearest said, I'm still going to read it. I want to be surprised when I heard those 2 books were continued. I didn't want to pull this was rich. Hey, I'm the same way, man. My list is very small as well. There's a few Image books. There's obviously Conan the Barbarian from Titan. There's been the on and off Berserker one-shots that have now come out since the 12-issue series ended that I've been enjoying. Yeah, it's unfortunate. But I was like, okay, these are things I'll give a shot at. There's not too much right now coming out that, obviously I'm enjoying Transformers a lot. Firepower's ending. I'm really enjoying that. That's gonna end soon. Phantom Road, actually, I really enjoy from Jeff Lemire. I think that's great. I think that's awesome. That's like a supernatural type of horror story. I really enjoy Phantom Road. I'm looking forward to Duke. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Cobra Commander.
Cobra Commander, I will check out. I will definitely check out Cobra Commander. Meanwhile, I'm going to be checking out a few miniseries. I'm actually going to be reading Planetary soon from Warren Ellis and John Cassaday. Yeah.
Lucky
Clubby,
you.
I'm going to tell you, there's a specific reason. I'm going to tell you why I'm reading that behind the scenes.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you why. There's a good behind the scenes reason for it. But I'm going to be getting on that soon. And I'm also going to read some of the Middle World stories I've never read. And that's another behind the scenes convo. But yeah, I'm excited to check out. Also, I can't wait to read the rest of this Fantastic Four Wolfman stuff. I'm happy. I'm excited. At least of lots of old comics and the few new comics that can get me excited. Hopefully more can pop up, but till then, I have so much old stuff that I've never checked out.
So
I'm okay.
Speaking of runs, I believe Andy has to run.
Oh, we're gonna be wrapping up. That's perfectly timed because it's exactly where I want to wrap up. It's 2:30 right now at the mark. So, chat, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for your super chats. Thank you to Legion of Memers for the great memes. I'm so happy you can hang out with us. We had a great crowd up tonight, up to around 35. Holy shit, that's nuts. We're talking a classic Fantastic Four story. And I thank you for your time here, whether it was a little bit, a portion of it, half of it, most of it, all of it. It's all appreciative. And thank you to LDG for becoming a member and for making 10 other people become a member. Holy shit, that was fucking awesome. Thank you,
Yay.
LDG.
Yeah.
And I want to thank
Thank you.
Andy Masterson for not only being understanding and negotiable with the fact that we had to push this back, but he came with us not one, but 2 nights. Dude, I had a fucking awesome time hanging out with you, sir. And we gotta make sure this doesn't take a year again. We gotta make sure this doesn't take a year again. Please,
Yeah,
let's
just
not
give me a
make this
yell,
thing-
man.
I
love
will. I promise.
I love you guys. Love talking comics. It's great if you guys are, especially if you're doing anything Captain America related or old Marvel
Oh,
stuff.
we're
I'm definitely in.
overdue. We're overdue.
Yeah, but thanks for the invite. It's been great. Can't wait to do it again. These classic stories, man, like go back and check them out, because I mean that's where the real gold is.
Yeah. So what do you got coming up? I know obviously you got Doomcock stream we do on Wednesday night. Is there anything else got coming up? If not, just plug in Doomcock show.
Well, I just did a new video. I got my channel, the Laboratory of Mayhem. It's all about 1/6 scale stuff. I just did a review of these brand new 1/6 bodies for customizing, and they're like really articulate, but best of all, they're really cheap. These things, like there's a company called Worldbox. They have a version of this. It's $90. This one was 27.
Oh,
So, and this guy here is 20, and
Wow.
now you can have the size difference. You can have a Tony Stark next to Thor and have it look right. This would be a great Luke Skywalker body. Some of these, there's some old bodies out there that just need a little bit of an upgrade, a little bit of a tweak, and they'll be great. And you don't have to spend $300 for them with the Hot Toys. But I got that going on. I'll be on Doomcock show on Wednesday. Well, actually, it'll be Thursday this week because he's got some family function he's got to get done. But that's just a one-time thing, and I'll probably be on Tom's show on Sunday night.
Nice.
Shows.
All right, Andy. Yeah, we'll do this again a lot sooner. Maybe we even in time for Alpha Core. We'll be in touch, man. Give me about a month or two. We'll be in touch, sir. Seriously, thank you again for being understanding and accommodating. You have a
Thanks for
great
the invite.
night
Thank you.
and weekend, and keep kicking ass as being a dad. We're both dads, and I love that. So, and seriously, this show isn't possible literally without you. And guys, go sub to Andy's channel. This guy is fucking awesome. Makes bass toys, knows his comics, and knows how to have a good time drinking. And I've hung out the guy in person before too. I can testify to that. All right, Andy, go have a good night and weekend. We'll see you
Thanks,
next
guys.
time.
Bye
Take
bye.
care, man.
All right, Ironcaster, plug away.
Why, hello, my friends. This is Ironcaster here, and guys, this has been so much fun tonight.
Oh, I know.
Thank you all to everyone for coming out. Thank you to everyone who gave Nick a channel membership. This guy works so hard for you guys, and will make sure that you see a return on that. Like, I'm thinking about throwing in some stuff to help out too, just because I love this. I want to help give back. So
Your energy and your contributions
woo!
are enough, dude. Seriously, I love it. And Muhammad said, "I love this guy's enthusiasm. He's really on it." Thank you, Muhammad said, for hanging out with us. Go ahead, Cass. You continue to finish.
So tomorrow I will finally be picking up with Brandon the Anime Guy for our read and watch through of One Piece, as we are delving in and finishing up the Skypiea arc for what would, I surmise, effectively be a season 3 or possibly season 4 of the Netflix live action adaptation. So we're jumping ahead a little bit. Tomorrow I will be on with T-shirt Historian for the Weekend Geek, where we will no doubt be talking about whatever Wizards of the Coast has done. And Oh, I'm sure there's always something for them.
They have done a lot, man.
This
Sometimes I
week.
regret going back to Magic. Sometimes I enjoy it, but
Oh.
god damn, that company is full of. Ah,
And when all else fails, I can always hop on with we my good friend Charlie B here will of course be on with the boys of the Cotton Council to talk just random nonsense tomorrow. Hang on, let me get that out of your face. Really?
Man, that thing, I tell you, guys got to keep himself together, Caster.
Monday I am Monday I on Mondays I have started doing a stream on my channel called the Mech Pit Chat, where we are delving into all kinds of cool big robot stuff from Transformers, Power Rangers, Warhammer 40K, Gundam, just all that cool stuff. Cool power armors, explosions, all that insanity. Love it. Tuesday I'll be on with Pops Stolnoki for Talk Hardware. This week we are talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas for the Christmas season. I'm all over the place.
Fucking ass. No, stay that way, man.
Dude, it is crazy to realize that movie is like having its 30th anniversary.
Oh, I know. It's great. It's fucking crazy, dude. It's straight up crazy. I love it though. I love it. No,
Like I think I'm just have to start like posting up a schedule just to show everyone all the stuff I got going on.
Dude, you should, and you're on my Gilded. You have all the power to post whenever you want about whatever you got coming up on Gilded on my feed, man. You know you have the power of no limits there. So,
well,
go nuts. Post
I just
on
gotta
there.
make sure.
We actually have an active feed there too. We actually have an active feed there. So.
I've even started streaming a bit of like some of the Sentai and Kamen Rider stuff that I've been nerding out over for the last like year and a half since Marvel abandoned us as customers, as fans. So all right, I'm gonna go get my fix elsewhere. So Japan, what you got?
A lot.
Hi, Japan.
I got money.
You hear that? He's got money. All right, Caster. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for your contributions. Have a great night, weekend. And yes, Vince, Womack, and Heretic do fucking rule on Gilded. Vulcan, Liz, we gotta talk. We'll figure out what the hell's going on because that shit's not cool. But we'll get it sorted out, dude. All right. We have a great little section on Gilded. We have fun there. We have fucking fun there. All right, Caster. I'll see you soon, brother. And Pablo, you're hard at work on Midnight's Edge Espanol. What's going on your side?
Hey, customer decided on a web page. This is not on videos. Decided that his company needed a special kind of animation, so I'm animating an SVG file by hand. If you are a developer and you know what that means, yes, I will sleep someday. I have been working a lot. Also videos of Minasech Español, Minasech. The videos of Minasech, actually I have been testing some things, including a background. Thanks to Screen Rant, I cannot use that background for some videos because their color palette is bullshit. So that's something else that sucks about the Screen Rant. But we are coming with a lot of videos. Andre is working really hard on scripts. It's going to be a really interesting time because in a lot of things that had happened, Elon Musk told Bob Iger to go fuck himself. And I agree.
It was pretty great. It was pretty great.
Dude, that was great. So there's a lot of things going. I'm still working on my video. One day I will have time to finish my video, but work comes first. So priorities, I guess.
Make the boss happy. Andre expects.
I hate being responsible, but if you are not responsible, you don't need. Somebody on Marvel should learn that at some point. Other than that, it's great to be here. It's great to have this moment of talking about comics and also having to read those comics. That's one of the best parts of being in this show. You actually have to go and read Fantastic Four, and that's your homework. I wish my homework on school was that epic, man. So I love that. I love being able to read everything that is enjoyable and coming here and talking about it. Brothers, is a blast. I have one recommendation for anime because I have been watching a lot of anime out of late. Is The Returner's Magic Should Be Special. It's a weird tale about time traveling and basically a psychopathic society with a Harry Potter style school. It's worth your time. It's weird and I enjoy it a lot. And there's a lot of other stuff coming, so please watch anime, please read manga, and please go back to the old school comics. It's worth it. Brothers, this is a blast. Thank you very much, and I love it.
All right, man. Thanks for being here. Love hearing what you have to say. I love that we can even not be an echo chamber. We could still have an equally engaging conversation and have fun with it and just roll with it. And I love it. It shows you that we can still make it still fun for both of us and make it fun for the chat who participates in listening to us. And I love hearing what you have to say. Always, 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 sir. You have a great night, weekend, and I can't wait till we get to some Christmas comics
Hell yeah.
in a few weeks. Where that's gonna be a blast too, and yeah, we'll just we're gonna go on 2023 with a bang, sir. Have a
Hell yeah,
great night,
brother.
weekend, and Claude Parrish. What do you miss? You miss a great show, but catch the replay. I promise it's worth it. And Emperor's NM coming in hot with a direct donation.
Woo.
Oh, Emperor's NM with a $5 direct donation, and he leaves nothing. He just leaves $5 because he's such an awesome dude like that. Dude, Emperor's NM, I hope to meet you in person one day. Pizza, booze, it'll be great. It'll be huge. I owe you, man. And yes, it like all things considered, it will be huge. Take care, Pablo. Thank you very much. Clawby, what do you got coming up?
Well, thanks thanks for having me, buddy. Sorry, my voice is about gone. Tomorrow night,
Fine.
Saturday night Star Trek. Tomorrow night, of course, as always, at 9 p.m. Central. Raquel and I will finish up our reviews of Star Trek Voyager Season 3 on to Season 4 next week and 7 of 9. Everyone's happy about that. Sunday night, I'll be hanging out with the great Mark D with a C on this channel for the Geek Sunday Night Geekery, 10 Eastern, 9 Central. It's a lot of fun. We just geek out about, geek out. That's it. He does eatery sometimes where he talks about food. The naughty boy. Then Monday night, I'll be on J-Man's channel doing our Legion of Superheroes reviews, and then on my channel later at 9 p.m. Central, doing our just be kind of open Monday night Mark C Comics talk. But Tuesday night, I'm gonna have a member stream, but Wednesday night, I'm very excited to have the great Drunk 3PO on with me. He's going to be joining me for hang out. We're going to talk just comics and basic stuff like that, and I'm just looking forward to that. It's going to be a great time, and yeah, that's 9 p.m. Central, Wednesday night, December the 6th. And thanks for having me again, buddy.
No, thanks for hanging out, Clawby. You have a great night weekend. Kill it with Raquel tomorrow night. Kill it with Drunk 3PO on Wednesday. Meanwhile, I will see you on Midnight's Edge After Dark twice next week, along with the Comic Shop show. And I'll be messaging you in the next few days so we can get our Booster Gold show set up for January.
Cool.
All right, man.
All right,
Thank
buddy.
you very, very much, sir. And then Vulcan lives. Direct donation from Vulcan lives. The great, the incredible Vulcan lives. And what does he do? He was a director. So we got to have Thanos punch Captain Marvel one more time. Drum.
Whee!
And Vulcan Live says for $10. Thank you, Vulcan Lives. You crazy son of a bitch. Says, thanks for another great week of shows, dude. Thanks for hanging out, man. Even when you don't, it's not even about the super chat direct knows. It's just hanging out. Like giving the time is what's valuable. I love when people hang out. When people want to do the direct knows or super chats, that's obviously great and all. I'm a capitalist, so of course that's great. But I love it even more when people just can hang out. If they just want to contribute silly comments in the chats, make memes like the Legion of Memers, whether it's Magic, Poop, or Release My Cracker. I just love having people to interact with and just share the bond, the energy, the enthusiasm, the power. It's empowering, for lack of a better word. So I love having that here. I love having guys like you. You're loyal, you're fun, you're contributive. And you know how to keep a chat alive too on top of it all. So thank you, Vocalist, for $10 and Emperor's M, thank you for the 5. Christian, thank you for the Canadian super chats earlier. LDG, thank you for becoming a member and gifting 10 other memberships. And Brad Young for the super chat earlier. Guys, we'll see you next week for Comic Shop Talk. And of course, Toxic Tuesday. For your eyes only, we'll be having CC Karaoke on as a guest. I can't wait. And I'll have a video or two out next week as well. You can find me at Midnight's Edge After Dark and Comics Division's channel. And I have not read Cole Comics, but I will. I will. All right, guys. I gotta go to bed. These guys got things I gotta do. Well, maybe I'll go to bed like half hour, but I do got it in the stream because I do have things I gotta do. But guys, have a great night. Thank you for supporting this show. You guys are fucking awesome. We're a few hundred subscribers away from 2K. Let's get there. Good night, everyone. Thank you. There's no outro. Appreciate it.